better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's life unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. And see why? It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Available in app only. T&Cs apply.
Adam Golden Studio with my man Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. When I say everything for the exterior of your home, I mean it. So tell me everything that you have for the exterior of my home.
There's so many things I can't even remember the entire list. You know,
Good luck.
Thanks for the test here. But windows, doors, siding, roofing, gutters, gutter guards, railings, you name it. We have the exterior home improvement you're looking for. The main thing is we're a one-stop shop, right? So you don't have to call 2 or 3 different contractors if you need your roof done and you need your windows done. You can call one company and have it all done.
I like that. French doors.
French doors.
I like French doors. I can't speak French, but I like French doors. Can I tell you, back in the day, you guys did French doors and every window in a home I used to own.
Well, thank you for your business.
It was incredible. Can I also tell you that it was done in like 2 days? Is that even possible?
It is possible.
How do you guys do work that fast?
We're good.
You're
We're
fast.
good.
That's Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. They do the best work in the industry and the best customer service in the industry as well. AluminumCompany.com.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score!
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show.
Buddy the Elf got laid off, I think.
No!
From the North Pole.
Santa, no.
I told my wife, we're season tickets holders to the LA Kings. We have the seats right on the glass, which were amazing. I said, gosh, over the break, it'd be funny if I just got like a Buddy the Elf costume and didn't shave for like a week. And I'm just sitting there with like a candy cigarette, sit there for a period and see how people react. And that was it. But the reaction was insane. We're like, what is he doing? Is he promoting something? But occasionally I just like to do weird things like that just to stir it up.
Sounds like an appropriate way to start this program. Hi, everyone. It's the Adam Gold Show. We like to do strange things from time to time. Hope all is well in your world. That's Victoria over there. Hi, Victoria.
Hi. The Christmas music confused me for a second. But I did read that audio. That was going to be part of my 7th inning yesterday, was why Will Ferrell went to the LA Kings looking like a rough around the edges Buddy the Elf. That's why. He just wanted to spice it up. That's it.
Did you see the movie Trading Places?
Yes.
Great movie.
Yes.
Amazing movie. Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd, Jamie Lee Curtis. Gosh, what a great movie that is. Ralph Bellamy, was it Don, drawing a blank on his last name, the 2 older brothers who had the dollar bet that they could turn Dan Aykroyd into Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So good.
Yeah, just phenomenal movie. Oh, God, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Anyway, because I do that all the time. That's why. That's the answer, Adam. That's the answer you were searching for. When Dan Aykroyd, after they turn him into, a homeless guy, when he's on the street and he's, got a fish inside his jacket when he's all unshaven. Is that what he looked like sitting in the?
Pretty much.
All right, good.
He had it was funny too. He made sure to drink beer, So he was swigging beer, and he had a candy cigarette.
Those were great back in the day.
I know. Used to go to the gas station and get the little box of candy cigarettes.
Oh, man, I love those.
Oh, yeah.
Love the candy cigarettes back in the day. They even had cigar bubble gum.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Big pink ones. You're like, what? Is it a girl?
We had yellow ones.
Oh, yeah.
I think you could get them pink, pink as well. We had yellow ones. And then, of course, I keep saying this, Big League Chew.
Oh, the best.
If they made Big League Chew in sugarless gum, because that's all I only chew sugarless gum. Only.
Right.
If they made Big League Chew in sugarless gum, I would buy the company.
Game changer.
Yeah.
I love Big League Chew.
It's the best.
Oh,
they still. I can't believe they still sell it. I can't believe anybody buys it.
I know. They're just scattered, sporadic in different spaces.
15 different flavors.
I
Awesome.
know.
All right, so we got a hockey game tonight. Actually, it's almost a hockey game like this afternoon. I know it's only an hour difference.
Still.
6 o'clock feels like noon to me. Of course, it's already noon.
I'm telling you, an hour difference makes a difference. Just use traffic as an example.
Well, that is true. Oh, my gosh.
If you leave at 4 versus 5, there's a little different.
Very different. So, yeah, that means the podcast, I'll get to the podcast early tonight.
Look at you.
It will still be around 9:30 when we start the podcast, on top of the fact that I will be at my home studio.
Oh, fun.
So,
will Earl be helping in the background?
I don't know. I was on TV today. Very quickly.
Uh-huh.
I won't belabor this point. I was on TV today. We do a Wednesday hit on WRAL TV5. For those people who want to hear Canes talk for 2 minutes or whatever it is, I go on Wednesdays at 9:10 with my guy, Ken Smith. And so we're doing the hit, talking about what happened this past weekend and a little bit about the game tonight. And Earl decided to make an appearance.
Oh, boy.
Earl just popped up right over my right shoulder.
Love it.
Hi, I'm Earl.
It's never a bad time to make an Earl appearance.
Dogs on TV are undefeated.
All day. Love
undefeated. I don't know that they appreciated it in the newsroom because I joked, well, next week maybe we'll get another Earl appearance. And they just went crickets. All right, bye.
Oh, wow.
And they just hung up at that.
Well, never mind then.
All
At least
right.
you don't have to worry about Harriet. She's too small.
Harriet is too small, plus she's indifferent to all of it.
Yeah.
All right, two things we're going to get to. We're going to talk about, because Rod Brind'Amour is going to join us in a few minutes as we get ready for the Canes and the Sabres tonight.
Hopefully he's feeling all right. Probably
Yes.
is.
So let me just start with the Canes, mention a few things, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the quad 4 win for the Duke Blue Devils last night. Ooh, boy. Anyway, Canes Sabres tonight, 6 o'clock start because it's a nationally televised game. There's only 2 games in the NHL tonight. The first game is Carolina at Buffalo. The second game is, I believe, Edmonton and Minnesota. And because they don't want that game to start at, 10 o'clock Eastern time, which means it would be 9 o'clock local time, the Hurricanes and the Sabres are going to start earlier. So Hurricane Sabres, 6 o'clock. It is a TNT game. And the second game is Edmonton and Minnesota. It'll be Dustin Tokarski in net. Wait a second. There's 2 days off in between the game against Anaheim on Sunday and tonight's game. And then there's a day off before it's a game against Vegas on Friday. Then they don't play again until, Monday and Tuesday of the following week. So why are we playing Dustin Tokarski in a game with 2 days off and no back-to-backs in the immediate future? And the answer, as Rod will tell us, is that there is a small, non-threatening issue with Kochetkov physically that ultimately he's not 100%, so he's not going to play tonight. We'll let Rod explain what all of that is coming up in a couple of minutes. We taped the interview with Rod Brind'Amour about 20 minutes ago. So there's that. So that's why Dustin Tokarski is playing. This is not a choice. And I know there are people who went, well, Kochetkov is awfully bad in that third period goal and then the overtime goal, so maybe he's been benched. Nope. A, Rod doesn't do that. And B, let me just point this out. I was not wrong when I clarified or classified Carolina's goaltending as backup goaltender, minor league goaltender, currently in the National Hockey League. Because while Kochetkov has a lot of high end to him, there's too much inconsistency to make him a number one goaltender, and I will point it out in this way, because I did these. I really delved into numbers with Kochetkov. At 5-on-5, he's arguably the worst starting goaltender in the NHL. I'm not even kidding. At 5-on-5, on the penalty kill, he's one of the best. Bananas.
No
the
sense.
Numbers for Kochetkov are ridiculous. So he's the 48th best goaltender in the NHL for guys who have essentially played at least 10 games. He's the 48th best goaltender at 5-on-5. On the penalty kill, using the same set of criteria for starting goaltender or guy who played a lot, he's the 11th best goaltender. Okay. I broke it down even further, right? In high danger situations, he's 4th best in the league.
Oh, wow.
There is no way to explain Pyotr Kochetkov to anybody who understands goaltending.
He loves pressure.
He is all over the place.
You should call him Diamond.
So, yeah, maybe. So anyway, but because of his inconsistency, to me, he's a backup. And when Freddie Anderson comes back, Freddie Anderson will be, even in the regular season, they'll alternate. But I promise you, unless something changes between now and the end of the season, when we get to playoff game 1, Frederik Andersen will be the starter. Just no other way around it. Unless Rod has decided that I have to go the other way for future reasons, which I don't believe we should ever do. We're trying to win this game right here. I think Frederik Andersen will be the starter game 1 of the playoffs. But Tokarski is a minor league goalie. And you can't treat a minor league goalie like he's an NHL backup. He happens to be Carolina's backup. But they're not giving Tokarski a start to, Kochetkov didn't play all that well. There's a physical issue. So let's not confuse with, what Dustin Tokarski is. He is giving Carolina everything they could hope for in an occasional starter. And that's really what he is. All right, so a couple of other things, because I think there are things that need to be really discussed very quickly about the Canes. Martin Necas is indicative of what has happened to their offense. And we can, criticize how Necas is playing if we want. But ultimately, let's just deal with the results. And the results are Necas hasn't beat a goaltender in 18 games. 18 games. He has the one empty net goal a few games ago against the Devils. Other than that, he's got not only just, I don't know how many points, not a lot of points. He's amassed a few points the last couple of games with some assists. But one goal, and that was the empty netter in 18 games. That tells you everything you need to know about the state of Carolina's offense, because Necas was carrying it the first 22 games of the season. So Carolina's offense has dropped off, which has then stopped masking the problems in preventing goals, which is really their first priority, is goal prevention. Offense comes second to that. So we're now no longer covering for the goaltending inconsistencies, which were there the first 22 games, but they were outscoring the problems. There's also the matter of not really getting a lot of luck. I will point this out. Martin Necas should have scored against Vancouver. Absolutely. Against Anaheim. He had the slap shot from the left faceoff circle, which is a goal. 9 times out of 10, that's a goal. But it hits Lucas Dostal, gets over and just flashes his arm. Makes one of the great saves of the year. Another game, another day, that puck goes in. And that's right now what Carolina has not been getting a lot of, is puck luck. I'm not saying everything was puck luck back in the first 22 games of the season, but they're not really getting any now. So there's a little bit of bad luck involved. The offense is certainly taken a pretty significant step back in the last, 2 months, month and a half. And the goaltending has basically been the same as it has been, even though I will admit that Kochetkov has played better, just not that much better. All right, let's move on real quick to what happened last night at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke hit 1 billion three-pointers. I don't even know what the numbers were at the end of the game. I just know that they made 11 of 17 in the first half. And when they do that, if Duke is going to make 11 of 17 threes, whether it's in a game or in a half, you have no chance. Nobody's beating them if Duke shoots like that, and John Shire on the productivity of their offense.
I think we've, found out how good we can be when we share it, and I think our guys have fell in love with that, and we continue to do it. Cooper's passing, I thought was terrific. He also had some plays where he knows he needs to be stronger and tighter and all that, but I think he's a big reason. But I thought really all our guys, like even though it doesn't translate to assists, like Tyrese had 2 assists, I thought he had a lot more passes that led to something good. And so that's something we try to emphasize. It's not just the assists, it's just making the right basketball play.
Yeah, the hockey assist. Duke's ball movement was amazing. In the first half, they had 17 made field goals, and there was 17 or 19 and 17 assists. It's crazy. Almost every field goal was assisted. And that just shows when Duke does that, you got no chance. Konkanippel had a monster game. Everybody who played well. There were really good signs from everyone. All right. We'll get back to the Duke game in a bit. By the way, Manny Diaz, Duke's football coach, is going to join us in our next segment. But right now, let's talk a little bit more hockey with the head coach of your Carolina Hurricanes, Rod Brind'Amour. So I think we found the solution to the team's, if we have one, a second center problem. It's you. That was a nifty goal you scored.
Well, I mean, what are you going to say? It's beer league hockey at its best there. We had a lot of fun. It was really fun to be around the guys again, and the game is what it is. But it was nice to see those guys. I mean, we don't get that opportunity very often, and it was pretty cool.
Star-studded team too. Very impressive. Eric played, scored a goal. Eric Cole was out there scoring. You've got goals from Brett Hedican.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was nice to see those guys, and listen, we've all certainly aged, and that showed, but it was, you still felt, I don't know, the connection there. That's the thing about winning. Once you do that, it's
right
for life, and that bond you have is very, very special.
All right, let me move on to tonight's game. I know you want me to already. Dustin Tokarski tonight. It did look at some point in the third period that Kochetkov might have just gotten a little nicked up. Is that what happened?
No, he had a bit of a hand issue back a while ago, and he had some kind of little procedure down there, so he needed to just take a day off, and that's basically we could have easily played him tonight, but felt like because he didn't quite feel 100% yesterday, was just give him a day today, and should be good to go next game.
All right, so it wasn't anything that happened in the game against Anaheim. All right, now you and I talked earlier in the season, and to some extent, your offense was masking problems. So now that the offense isn't quite as good as it was in the first 20 games, just, the numbers show 4 goals per game in the first 22 and around 3 or maybe even a shade under since then. What to you is the bigger issue? Is it, goaltending inconsistency, or is it the offense just not being what it was?
Well, I think it depends. I think every night it's kind of been a little one of the two that you just said. Hasn't, I think, Ghost was out, so the power play wasn't scoring as much. Hopefully with him back, that's where some of the offense will, creep up a little. And the consistency part and everything has probably been maybe the one issue that I'd like to see us shore up a little bit. I think we've played pretty well. It's just, at times we're giving up some goals we shouldn't, and that's costing us.
Let's address the power play first, because you went on the ice with about midway through the third period against the Ducks with a power play, knowing that you needed a goal. Now you got two, only one counted, but for me, it was the obvious sense of urgency within that power play that stood out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you should have that every power play, but the other team has a lot to do with that too. So I just felt like that was a good power play. Like you said, we got one, and I like the fact that we only had 26 seconds left, and when they disallowed it, and all of a sudden we came back and ran a real good set, and guys, it's that execution part we talked about when they did exactly how they were supposed to do it, and the talent took over the rest of the way there and got a good big goal. And same thing on the 6-on-5. It was executed pretty well, and obviously we were able to tie it up.
Yeah, it was great play by Seth. It looked to me, and maybe the pass was deflected, that he kind of missed on an opportunity just a few seconds earlier on a feed from Andre, right?
Yeah, he had the backdoor tap in and then missed it, so you kind of thought then that was your chance, but fortunately got another one.
So before I move on to the Sabres, and very, very quickly, I had a hard time. Should I be upset that it was only a point? Should I be happy that it was a point because it was 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go? How did you look at the game?
Well, it was a little bit of everything. I mean, a little frustrations. I think we should have won the game. Played well enough for sure. But we had a couple moments in there. Like every game you're going to have that, that don't love, and then those end up in your net. So we got to figure a way to, number one, not have those moments, but also they shouldn't end up in your net either. So we gotta, that's something we just continue to learn from. But I overall thought the game was good, and the process was there. I thought the 60-minute commitment was there, so all that stuff was good. Obviously, didn't love the overtime part, but at that point, you just kind of move on.
All right, final thing, and I know you and Kevin Adams, who's the general manager of the Sabres, are very good friends. They survived a terrible December. They look like they've come out on the other side. They've won, I think they've won 2 out of their last 3. They're over 500 in their last 10. They can score some goals. They've got some size down the middle. Give me a scouting report on what you see from the Sabres.
Yeah. No, you kind of just summed it up. I think one of the more talented teams in the NHL, top to bottom. Their back end's really loaded, and they got some real high-end players up front. And it's, I think their issue, I actually talked to Kevin this morning too, was they've been just very, very inconsistent. And sometimes they put it all together and they just look like the best team in the league, and then other times it's just not there. So that's, with a young team, you kind of have that, I think, at times. But, we have to definitely be on our guard because, like I said, if they're on their game, they're one of the more talented teams in the league.
Well, good luck, and we'll see you Friday.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
All right, so consider this. Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power. Dahlin was, I think, the first pick in the draft. He was in the Svechnikov draft. I think Owen Power was the second pick in the draft when he came out. And they share a blue line. I mean, there's a lot of really good players on this team. And there's a lot of size. It's a big team. So Carolina's going to have their work cut out for them tonight, especially on the road. Dustin Tokarski will start. When we come back, Duke football coach Manny Diaz on year 1. Would he make a change to the transfer portal? Does he like the playoff? All of that. And also we'll get his thoughts on the entrance into the market of Bill Belichick. Manny Diaz, next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Get crazy, Canes fans. It's hockey night in Carolina. Yeah!
game over. Sebastian Aho wins it in overtime.
Storm Watch with Adam Gold at 5:30. Puck Drop at 6.
Here come the Hats. A natural hat trick for Marty Natchez.
On your exclusive home for the Carolina Hurricanes, 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller. Wait, excuse me. My dear friend Gordon Miller. We have known each other. We have been bosom buddies, much like that old TV show, since 1999. And here's the deal. Gordon wouldn't steer me wrong. He wouldn't steer you wrong. He doesn't want you to pay closing costs. Why? And by the way, I've been an 11-time client. That's right, 11 times. I have not paid closing costs, and 11 times I have saved thousands of dollars, and it adds up to roughly 50 grand. Wouldn't you like Gordon to save you 50 grand over a lifelong friendship? Yes, you would. MillerLending.com. Find out all about how you can beat the system and never pay closing costs and refinance free of charge. And by the way, the rates will come down this year. They will come down this year because they have to. Miller Lending, the home of the original no closing cost mortgage. Save thousands, save hundreds, and maybe get a lifelong friend while you're at it. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary, an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 2502146.
To understand what makes Diamonds Direct so different than other jewelry stores, you have to go back 60 years, when a diamond cutter became well known for his exceptional craftsmanship. His diamond cutting business flourished for decades. Then his sons got involved and started selling these exceptional diamonds to upscale jewelry stores here in America. After a few years, these wholesalers decided to change the game and started selling these precious diamonds direct to the public at the same prices they had sold to the jewelry stores. The no middleman concept became an instant success, and Diamonds Direct was born. Today, Diamonds Direct provides that extraordinary value to people all over America, offered at the guaranteed best prices, period. Diamonds Direct, a truly revolutionary concept with a unique history, rooted in quality, committed to excellence, and always focused on value. Official jeweler of the Carolina Hurricanes and proud sponsor of NC State Athletics, and proud to call the Triangle home. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? Hims can help. Get started at hims.com/joy. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go
big time
on a fancy water bottle with
ultra titanium alloy metal.
You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save
big time.
For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
This is Adam Gold.
Home runs are homers, not dingers, not jacks, not bombs. Can I use tater?
No. Can we say going yard?
Oh, yes.
Right?
If we can't exaggerate, if we can't use colorful, flowery metaphors and descriptions, why are we here?
The Adam Gold Show.
Manny Diaz is the head football coach at Duke. He joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Year 1, 9-3. I check out when the regular season's over, Coach. So I don't even know what happened down at the Gator Bowl, and we can just move on. I appreciate your time. I really wanted to start with, year 1 was, I thought, fun, successful. How do you look at year 1?
I love those words. We did have a lot of fun. Certainly winning is fun.
but I thought we brought a great spirit week in and week out, and I think we learned that you can work really, really hard as a football program, which I think we do. But you can also have a lot of fun doing it, and especially get to celebrate the people you get to do it with. This place, I've learned in year one, does attract pretty extraordinary people, and we had a good time. They were fun to coach.
When you look back on the year, first of all, let me just ask you to describe. You used the term spirit, but I want you to describe the best quality of the group you just let go. Because it's always a new group. No matter, even if you bring everybody back, it's a new group. So how would you describe the group you just coached?
Resilience. We say it all the time. Someone's got to lead the nation in mental toughness. And you look at the games that we played this year, whether that was, coming from 20 points down to win the victory bell, even before that, going on the road to Northwestern, gutting out that win in overtime. I thought that was huge for us. 3 or 4 double-digit comebacks throughout the course of the year, and did a great job winning close games, which, we mentioned all off season. College football now is about who can win the close one. It's so much more like the National Football League than it's ever been. The parity is stronger than it's ever been, and so you better be able to hold your nerve and find a way to close people out in the fourth quarter.
Manny Diaz is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. I'm curious about this because I remember where I was when I was watching that. I was out of town, but I watched the Northwestern win, and the amount of comeback and the overtime, all of that stuff. Once you do that once, do you feel like that helps you do it again? Because you did it a few times this year. I'm not sure that it was the next week. That was the UNC game, but that was. I mean, it's hard to say you had, it was a beat 'em down, but that second half was so utterly one-sided. But I'm curious, is there a carryover effect when you do something like that?
There certainly is, right? Confidence comes from, understanding things that have been done in the past that can happen again. But you have to practice that even beforehand. In training camp, you have to find ways to put people under pressure, being behind, and we scrimmage that way. We have a couple of scrimmages where we put ourselves down a large deficit to learn that you can't score 20 points on one play. Right. We always say you can't hit grand slams with nobody on base, and to not panic. And I think the big thing the players want to see is they want to see the coaches not panic. They're watching us as well, and every game is like solving a problem, and no two problems are alike. But once you know that you've got that ability to come from behind, you're never out of the game.
Manny Diaz is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, so last year we're all excited. You bring in Malik Murphy. Then he hits the portal. Darian Mensah comes in. And before we get to Darian, the player, I just want your feeling on the transactional nature of college football, where you really have so much you have roster turnover anyway. Even under the old system where we don't have a portal in NIL, there's always turnover anyway because you naturally have guys shuffling in and cycling out of the program. But it's gotten obviously even more so now. What are your thoughts on the way it is to build a roster?
It's tricky, and you still have to navigate it and do what's best for your school and for your program. You want to be a program where the players want to be in your program. We are one of the fewest, we're one of the lowest in terms of portal exits of anybody in the country right now. And I think that's because there's an attraction to being at Duke that's beyond what happens on Saturdays in the fall. But we're really excited about Darian. Malik did amazing things for our program in the time that he was here. And now it's Darian's turn, and he's got a chance to push us even further.
How did that recruitment go? I mean, that seemed like it didn't take very long. He all of a sudden his name's in the portal and then his name's out of the portal. I don't even know how that works. I have this Harry Potter thing, going through my head. But how does that work?
It's speed dating. You see it all across the country. We're all forced to make really, really fast decisions. I mean, I remember, it's less high profile, but I think Kendi Charles, our D tackle last year from Liberty, I think that was a 3-day turnaround from when we first knew about Kendi to when he was coming to Duke. So you've got to make quick decisions. When a name goes in the portal, you got to be quick because everybody else is trying to do the same thing, and especially at positions like quarterback, they're incent. They know that everybody has one, and it's a quick musical chairs. So they've got a lot of incentive to try to find a place quickly, and we were very fortunate to land a first visit that ended up being the visit, and then once you get on our campus and get around our players, there's just a lot to love about what's going on here at Duke.
Manny Diaz is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Does that basically mean that whether it's you, but somebody has to be aware of the players in the system who are currently playing? You got to be aware about everybody playing in 2025 because when the season is over and the portal opens up, you got to know about those players. I mean, that's got to be an arduous task.
Well, I do know from colleagues in the profession, there are people who have staffs that they just evaluate every player with the ability that if they do go in the portal, they already have an eval on. And we're not built like that. We don't have the manpower here at Duke to pull all that off. But when certainly somebody who had a resume like, Darian, when they hit the portal, you're going to get a quick eval on him and decide if that's a guy that would fit us.
It's easier for a quarterback or a running back or a wide receiver, but man, if a guard hits, it's tougher to find highlight tapes of somebody's left guard. Manny Diaz is joining us here. Do you have thoughts on how to make the portal better? How to streamline it? Because the portal's open now, but the portal's open again later. And then if a coach leaves, all of those players are available again. Do you have any thoughts on how to make this process better?
Well, I'm really proud of what happened yesterday in Charlotte, the American Football Coaches Association meeting. We had a head coaches meeting, and we went at it for 4 hours of a way to make it better that we hope pushes through. And going from our current model where we have two portals, which gives two, areas where you have potential disruption for your team, which I think serves nobody.
Right.
We have a December portal that is open while the season is still going on. I don't think that serves anybody. And so we had a great conversation. It's hard to build consensus within a coaching cohort, but we were able to do it. We came together and we were unanimous in moving the portal to a 10-day window from January 2nd to January 12th. That's after everybody's season except for the teams in the semifinals of the national championship game, and they still have their portal the 5 days after their season ends. But this takes it out of December. We don't have guys visiting. There were stories of playoff teams that were preparing for the playoffs also hosting official visitors in the portal for next year's team. That's madness. And then the other advantage that this time next year, today is the 15th of January. You'll know who your team is for the fall. The portal doesn't need to be 30 days. You don't have to decide where you're going by the end of the portal. You have to just decide whether you're going in.
Right. And
now they decide whether they go in. If they're not coming mid-year, they've got the entire spring semester to try to find their destination. So I think we took a big step of getting it in the right way. It needs to get approved up the bureaucratic chain, but we're confident and hopeful that it will be.
All right. Are you a fan of the 12-team playoff?
Compared to 4, it's absolutely an improvement. And anyone watching the games, you can't help but see a great product. And and if you just follow American professional sports, playoffs, they never shrink; they always grow.
Right.
So I would not be surprised if this is not the last metamorphosis here.
I remember when we started talking about this, and they're like, "Well, we need a 12-team model." I'm like, "Well, don't get married to a number because it's going to get bigger." I don't know where it's going to stop. I don't even think it stops at 16 because if they think they can make more money with 24, I think that's where we'll head there because, as you said, I mean, they're talking about a 90-team basketball tournament. I mean, it's just
FCS has had 24 for a long time, and has been able to make it work. And I think the more teams that get brought into the idea of having a shot, what that does for the final weekend of the regular season, the final weekends of the regular season, and no different than us. We were sort of on the fringe of the top 25 all season, where you got a chance to get in there, and And that's a big deal. You can say whatever you want to. A more inclusive playoff is better for the future of the game, because it, I just think we're getting away from the idea of just only being 2 or 3 teams. And I don't think people are recognizing the game is changing in front of our eyes, and the era of parity is going to come upon us. And there's going to be a lot more, you're going to see great players spread out amongst more institutions than what it was 5-10 years ago.
I think we actually started seeing that this year. Do you think that is more about the portal or more about the impact of NIL?
I think all the above.
Yeah.
I said the guy that won our Heisman signed with Jackson State at a high school and transferred to Colorado, who was 0-12 when he got there. And I think the players are starting to understand that in the past they felt like the brand had to make the player. And now that's not really the case anymore. The player can help make the brand, and they can help make each other. So I think that's here to stay, and I think people have a hard time understanding that because they get used to old narratives, and I think that's all going to change.
A couple of more things, and then we'll let Manny Diaz go. First of all, I don't know how much Duke basketball you've been able to take in. I'm sure part of your contract is sweet tickets, but have you tried to recruit Sion James to play maybe tight end, defensive end? That guy is put together.
Yeah, he looks like he wouldn't be out of place on a football field. So yeah, they're fun to watch. And again, I'm the head football coach, but my background is in defense, and watching the way that team, that John Shard does a great job of getting a lot of great players to be very unselfish and to play great defenses. As any coach, you would have to applaud that.
Is there a correlation between how you go about defending in basketball that you could apply to the football field?
Oh, absolutely. Sports is a game of percentages, and you're trying to make people in basketball, force them to the least lowest percentage shot as possible. And that's what any great defense is trying to do, right? The old adage, make them beat you left-handed, right? So anytime you're playing an offense, you're trying to make that offense beat you left-handed, take away, their strong hand, and make them do things that are very, very hard to do. And, if you look at our completion percentage against and our numbers that we did defensively this year, that's a big part of that.
It's funny. The first time I heard that phrase, we used to have weekly sessions with Steve Logan, former coach at East Carolina. It's like, we're going to make him try and beat us left-handed. I'm like, all right. I have 2 more things for you, because you alluded to the fact that you guys were on the fringe of the top 25. To not have finished in the top 25 of the regular season, to me, was ridiculous. I think you guys proved, how close. Probably should have won the SMU game, right? But I remember having conversations with Dave Harding about Duke and the college football playoff. Do you think, had you won that SMU game, and I know it's hypothetical and you never know what happens after that, do you think what Indiana did, and you guys played a much better non-conference schedule than Indiana, but what Indiana did is a blueprint for something that you could be capable of doing, and Duke could put themselves in that position?
Yeah, a couple of things to respond to that. One, the most important thing is our players absolutely believe that they should have been in the college football playoff, and that's important. That as great as winning 9 regular season games at Duke, and as infrequently as that's happened, that our guys were disappointed because they saw SMU in that game and they know that they let that one get away. I think the Indiana blueprint is not exactly us, because we're never going to be a team that is going to win with the influx of transfers the way that they did.
Right.
But I think our superpower is the fact that we can retain our guys. We can develop our guys because they want to be here for the time it takes to get a college degree from Duke. And then use the portal the way we have to really just put some key pieces in place to get us over the top. So yeah, our mindset is that, we believe that the college football playoff is, where we should end up every year, and then we work towards that. There's a lot of teams right now that have their eyes on the same prize.
All right, final thing for you. I need your first thought when Bill Belichick was hired as the University of North Carolina head coach.
Yeah, good to have him in the neighborhood. Coach Belichick and I have had a good relationship. I've gone up to New England 3 times, I think, in the last 6 years to spend some time up there with them. One of our coaches on our staff worked there the last couple of years. And look, anything that highlights Duke Carolina rivalry game is good for both schools. It's good for the ACC. But we expect that game, no matter who you know how long I've been in the Triangle and been in the league.
Yeah.
No matter who's coaching at that school, got to be a tight game, a great game, a game that comes down to the fourth quarter, and we work towards, like I said, we don't really pay a lot of attention as to who's there or whatever, because our standard shouldn't be affected by who they line up with. And so our standard every day should be designed to beat the University of North Carolina, regardless of who's in uniform or who's on the sideline.
Manny Diaz, I thank you very much for your time. We'll talk again as we get closer to the spring game, and then hope you have a good summer. But we'll check in again.
My pleasure, Adam. Thank you.
Manny Diaz, we appreciate his time. All right, when we come back, one-timers, I will be set up where Martine Natchez is in the left face-off circle, ready to fire answers. I fire answers to the questions.
Yeah, I got the questions part.
You have the questions.
You got the answers, yeah. It's fine. They're in there somewhere. It's between.
All right, so we'll do that next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and it's finally here. The NFL season's too long, but oh boy, the playoffs are the payoff, aren't they? And they start on Saturday. So, new customers, $5 bet gets you $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Your first $5 wager, you don't even have to win it. You can go nuts with that. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed for you. Just go to FanDuel.com/AGS today. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS and get started with $200 in bonus bets. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
It's that time of year to come see me. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on those you love the most.
By getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They're safe and effective.
Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains.
So make sure you don't miss that family gathering and protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Get protected this season with updated COVID-19 and flu shots. Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
This is Adam Gold.
What, a minute 53 into the game? Heat of the moment?
Right.
What kind of heat of the moment is that? We haven't even gotten to simmer yet.
I know. Did someone flip him off in the parking lot? Like, what are we
seriously.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos today. I just saw a report from a gentleman named Tom Bogert who covers Major League Soccer for, I think, The Athletic, that Charlotte FC is about to sign a player named Wilfred Zaha, who is from the Ivory Coast. Spent many years at Crystal Palace playing in the Premier League. Last year was at Galatasaray in the Turkish League. And this year has been on loan at Lyon in Ligue 1 in France. But he's going to play this upcoming season on loan with Charlotte FC. I mean, I know he's 32. I think that's a good signing. So if you're a fan of Charlotte FC, that is a good player with European pedigree. Very nice. So just thought I'd throw that in. You know what it's time for? Q&A. One-timers. Let's do it.
I got the Q, you got the A's.
Maybe too much.
It's what a great Wednesday.
Yeah.
This is fun. We like to have fun here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this would be fun, though. This matchup. Can Deion Sanders and Jerry Jones actually work together? Because you know the rumor mill likes to say that maybe Jerry would hire Sanders as the head coach there, but would their personalities just conflict too much going on?
There's a lot of personality there. I don't know if it would. I think their personalities would be fine. Look, I think they have a relationship. So, yeah, I don't think personality would be the issue. I really don't. I don't think Jerry Jones needs a mannequin, non-personality person like Mike McCarthy or Jason Garrett, because neither of them were really personality-filled. I mean, Bill Parcells was a big personality. And you could argue that it didn't really work. But Parcells didn't really stay anywhere for very long after his Giants time. So I wouldn't be completely against that marriage. They're also apparently talking to Jason Witten.
Interesting.
And he is boring as the day is long. So
yeah, complete opposites.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a better fit or not, but
Yeah.
I don't think personality would be the issue.
Well, another head coaching kind of seat people are looking at. Stephen A. thinks that the skepticism towards Mike Tomlin is justified. I know we're both big Mike Tomlin fans here, but what would you say to Stephen A.?
Look, I understand, because here's what we're used to. This is what we are used to in today's world of sports. Well, the message has gotten stale, even though the players generally change year to year. The message has gotten stale. Both sides just needed a change. We needed a new voice in the room. I mean, Mike Tomlin is an elite football coach. He's got elite people skills. He is incredibly well respected within his own locker room. Although, I mean, if this group of players, I personally don't think the Steelers have had a great team. And throw in the fact that they haven't had elite quarterback play, to me it's easy to understand why they have gotten only so far. But we live in a world where if you haven't won a Super Bowl or contended for it in the last couple of years, well, something's got to change. Doesn't have to be the case, but that's the world we live in, so that's why I'm not surprised that Stephen A. or all of the people that we have heard, ESPN or elsewhere, have said, well, yeah, I think both sides need to change. I mean, Mike Tomlin keeps telling people, I ain't going anywhere.
Right.
I don't think the Steelers are going to fire him.
No, I don't think they want him to go anywhere either. Well, this is kind of like a follow-up question to that, because that is another thing that people mention is that they've struggled. They've stayed at 500 at least for a while now, but they've had a lot of issues trying to advance into the playoffs and through the playoffs. So what or who would you blame for that kind of being so stagnant?
Wait, I'm sorry. I saw a story about Tristan Jarry getting waived. So give me the team again. I apologize.
The Steelers. Just, it was a follow-up.
It's quarterback. The last time the Steelers have had a good quarterback, when was it? Because the last few years of Ben Roethlisberger, by the time we got to the end of the regular season, he was broken. Well, it doesn't like, oh man, that car can still run. Yeah, except right now it's on blocks. And that's basically what he was. So they haven't had a good quarterback probably for 7 years. Real quick, the reason I was distracted, the Penguins have waived goaltender Tristan Jarry. So Hurricanes fans are like, oh, what about Jarry? Contract goes through the 28th season. That pays him nearly $5.5 million a year. He is already 35 and not very good. What are we doing? Don't even start with that. If we're gonna bring in a goaltender,
do it right.
Bring in a good one.
Yeah.
Don't bring, because he ain't any better than Pyotr Kochetkov, and nobody's paying Pyotr Kochetkov $5.5 million. All right.
No, they're not.
I apologize.
Well, so turning things around quickly, like we want to do with our goalie situation. I know that we had Chick on yesterday to talk about the Commanders, but what would you say has been key for them to turn things around so successfully in a year, which most teams try to do? Was it because they had new management, new quarterback, so is it luck, or did they just have all the right moving parts together?
Well, when you're bad and you finish last in even a bad division, when you pick that early, you get a swipe at a quality player, and in this case, the quarterback. But also, your schedule becomes easier. Just reality. It'll be different for Washington next year with a second-place schedule, because that schedule is more difficult.
Yeah.
Although it's not super difficult, and every year is cyclical anyway. But a little bit of a schedule. They were underachieving in terms of their roster in the past, but do never underestimate just a different attitude. And it does, as we talked to Chick about yesterday, it starts from the top down. Everything feels different with the Commandos.
Well, and last but not least, another quick one about football. So is there a head coach that you think could still be in the hot seat? Maybe Todd Bowles?
That where the season just ended? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I think Todd Bowles is a good coach, just like so many of these other coaches that get fired. But I think Bowles is a good coach. I mean, I don't know what people want, but
serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
It's 2025 and everybody's looking for a fresh start with their resolutions. Every team, player, coach, they've got something on a wish list. The Canes, I think they could use a little bit more toughness. The Panthers, clarity on Bryce Young. Is he the guy? Is he not? And every college basketball team wants to be hitting their stride as they hit the ACC schedule.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.
Mitchell Heat. do the job right every time.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling is celebrating 51 years of trusted service. And to celebrate, get a furnace tune-up for just $51. That's peace of mind heating for only $51. Visit MitchellHVAC.com. Mitchell Heating and Cooling, quality products and services on time from a family you trust. It's hard to stop a train.
The best solutions every time.
What's this?
We're expanding the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club.
That's a pretty big wrecking ball.
Well, with all these new scratch-offs, this place is going to be packed with new winners. Okay, let's go ahead and knock this wall down. This is where we're putting the polo field. Whoa, patience, Trixie.
This month's tickets are loaded with $150 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.55. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Homeowners, it's time to start fresh in 2025. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is here to help you take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payment and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto. Lock in a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
At the V Foundation, V is for victory over cancer. V is for victory over giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Join our team in the fight against cancer at V.org.
You turned your dating app for pets into a business, which just turned over its first billion. You turned around the fortunes of a failing football club, politely turned down a Nobel Peace Prize, and turned up on Mars in your own reusable rocket. All while struggling to turn on the dishwasher. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover business development titles on Audible.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
This is the Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Here's Ewer's snap, hit by Sawyer, ball's loose. Sawyer comes up with it, running down the right sideline, 40 to the 50-yard line. Sawyer to the 30, Jack Sawyer to the 20, to the 10, to the end zone. Touchdown! Jack Sawyer, the defensive end, coming up with the biggest play in Arlington, Texas, that could have Ohio State headed to Atlanta.
They will be in Atlanta, as will Notre Dame. Monday night, we will talk about it with Chip Patterson starting in about 15 minutes. CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator. We'll find out how the live Cover 3 event went in, where was it, Fort Worth, Texas, last week when we spoke to Chip. We'll talk college football. We'll talk about what Manny Diaz was discussing, the portal proposals by the Coaches Association. Remember, there is still a bureaucracy to deal with in college sports. Even the NCAA was on Capitol Hill continuing to lobby. It's what they do. No time to not waste money lobbying on Capitol Hill just to limit what players can earn. Hey, it's not their money they're trying to limit. It's the players they're trying to limit. They'll never learn. I've always said that in large part, the reason why we are where we are today with college sports and what seems to be a system run completely amok, out of control, I get it. It does look unwieldy. Unwieldy. I think it's unwieldy. The real reason for that is because the universities have forever done everything in their power to not allow players to realize their value in the marketplace. And once the courts stepped in, then they just went, all right, let's open up the spigot and see what, oh boy, it is just overwhelming. Yeah, it is. Like anything else. If you've had a teenager who has been kind of limited in his social interaction, and they go off to college, whoo boy.
We've all at least met one.
Uh-huh. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what college sports has become. Had there been more freedom of athletes throughout, I don't believe we would be nearly as all over the place as we are. I'm not even denying that we need some restrictions, but I think the restrictions need to be collectively agreed to, and therefore the schools will protect themselves and the players will have their own parameters. Hey, players shouldn't be allowed to go all over the place every single year, even though the schools and administrators and coaches can do that. I mean, I do think there needs to be some rules, but let's agree to those rules ahead of time. Let's agree to what the parameters are. Right now, they just want to apply them. These are the rules. Suck it up. I don't think that's not a viable system. All right, Chip Patterson will join us in a little bit. Let's get to some things that have happened and will happen. So we've got college coaching NFL coaching, I guess, stuff to discuss. And let's start here. The Dallas Cowboys job, you asked me before, could Deion Sanders could he work, because of his personality, could he work with Jerry Jones? And the answer is, I don't really think it's about as much about personality as it is, could Deion Sanders deal with the fact that Jerry Jones is his general manager? I actually listened to part of a podcast, I think it's called This Is Football with Kevin Clark, which is an ESPN property. And he had Jason Garrett on. And Garrett, for a long time, was the head coach of the Cowboys. And sort of moderately successful. They had some good years. They had some not so good years. They had some really average years. And Jason Garrett was just an okay head coach. Coached there for a fairly long time for somebody who was just an okay head coach. But the positive of Jerry is that he is incredibly stubborn. And when he hires a coach, that coach is going to get every opportunity to have success or, in some cases, fail. Garrett was a coach for a long time. Mike McCarthy's been okay. Been good in the regular season, but nothing in the postseason. Got a bunch of years to try to figure it out. So they parted ways. McCarthy will go somewhere else. The Cowboys will hire another coach. And Adam Schefter of ESPN has another former Cowboy who's a candidate.
I believe that he's in that category that Deion is.
This is about Jason
because
Witten.
Of the respect and regard that Jerry Jones has for Jason Witten. Now, Jason hasn't done it at this level, but you know what? There have been other coaches that haven't done it and stepped in, I think, and done well. Jason Witten has been such an impressive guy over such a long period of time, and he's done that in front of Jerry Jones. He is family to the Joneses. And so, yes, I do believe that he'll be a candidate. Yes, a candidate.
So that wouldn't be a personality hire since Jason Witten barely has one. And I actually have no idea if it would be a good hire for them. But I do think the Cowboy job is, of all the jobs available, I do think that's the best one. Not because it's the Cowboys, but At some point, Jerry Jones is going to understand that you don't wait till the last minute to sign free agent contracts, so you'll pay less money because you have to get out ahead of these things. But even if he doesn't, you've got resources, you've got the star, you've got first-class everything, and I'm not saying other teams don't have it, but you've got a whole bunch of it with Dallas. I mean, it's the most valuable franchise, certainly in the NFL. Arguably, it's the most valuable franchise in all of sports. I don't see why anybody wouldn't be interested. But it's not about personalities. It's can you work with the general manager who also happens to be the owner, and that is not going to change. Jerry Jones is not going to wake up tomorrow and go, you know what, I'm not really great at being a GM. So let's get somebody else to be. No, he's not. And he hasn't done the worst job. Cowboys are a playoff team basically every year. I mean, this year was different because Dak Prescott got hurt early. But they're basically a playoff team every year. They just haven't done well in the playoffs. That's in some reason. For some reasons, it's coaching, and some of it's health, and other is, I mean, Dak Prescott is good. Is Dak Prescott great? I don't know. Even if he's great, he's in the low end of great. So I would not be, I mean, whether it's Jason Witten or not, I think the Cowboys' job is the best job. I think the next best job is getting rid of the Jets and the Bears, who have organizational issues, even though they're in the best media markets. I'm not sure the best job after that isn't New Orleans.
Yeah, probably.
I think, and they don't have a quarterback. The notion that, well, the Jaguars have the quarterback. Do they?
No.
Do they really?
Are you
Because I think the Chargers are probably going, do we really have the quarterback? We have somebody who looks like the quarterback. Not sure he is. And I would say the exact same thing with Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he looks like he should be on the cover of a romance novel.
Yeah, he could play a quarterback in a movie.
Right, exactly. For any given Sunday, he could be your quarterback.
Right.
Right, in that movie.
Yeah.
Bud.
Right.
Air Bud. Right? Wasn't Air Bud a football movie, right?
Well, he played basketball, but...
Oh, did he?
Yeah, the
Never
golden
mind.
retriever that played basketball. Mm-hmm.
Was that Air Bud?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Who was the Spuds McKenzie dog? Wasn't that a football movie?
I used to own one of those.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
They shed a lot.
Oh, really?
Oh, big time.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
they're
right.
made of bricks,
Learn
too, by the way. But
no, they are, yeah. Learn something new.
I'm more
every day.
curious about the Raiders and the Jets. And, like, who's going to go to those places?
So, apparently the Jets and the Bears, by the way, are
And the
interviewing
Bears.
Arthur Smith.
Right.
Who was the offensive coordinator with the Steelers this year, was the head coach of the Falcons, was the offensive coordinator of the Titans, I believe, when Derrick Henry was really emerging as a stud. So we all watched the Falcons offense the last couple of years. Not really good. Fired. We watched the Steelers offense this year, and there were times where it looked okay, but for the most part, no good. And I actually quote tweeted it and put out, I am always amazed that in all of our society, there is so much falling up.
Yes. Matt
And
Rule.
I actually had my own example that had nothing to do with sports.
Mm-hmm.
Of people that I know in the industry, in sports media industry, that keep falling up. It doesn't matter how many times they have been unsuccessful at a job, they're getting another one. And I'm going, man, I wish that I would have that kind of luck. I know people who have been let go and couldn't get back in the business. I'm like, you're way better than that guy. Why does he keep getting jobs and you don't?
Yeah.
We have a lot of falling up in this world, and I can't help but think that Arthur Smith is an example of falling up.
Yeah. Instead of bruises, it's paychecks.
Yeah.
Somehow.
It helps, maybe. And I could be wrong about this. It might help if, like, you come from how many billions of FedEx dollars.
That doesn't hurt.
It might have something to do with that. It might not. but it might have something to do with Federal Express, now FedEx.
Mm-hmm.
All right, when we come back, Chip Patterson, we'll talk national championship game in college football. Where are the logical steps to expand? Would we go to more on-campus games? We'll talk about the portal. Chip Patterson is here, and he's next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
All playoff roads lead to New Orleans.
Playoff football, baby.
The Wild Cards, the championship games, presented by First Horizon Bank and Wake Med, will be heard here.
Curtis Samuel, 30, banging inside of the 20, 15, 10, slips out of a tackle, touchdown Buffalo! 55 yards! Hot dog, man!
The Triangle's home for Super Bowl 59. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle sports leader.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we got big upsets. We have game-winning drives. We have the NFL playoffs, and they are better with FanDuel. And right now, new customers, you bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That means, like me, you don't even have to win. I never win, and it doesn't matter if you win or not. Because if you're a new customer and you bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets, so you can lose their money. It is awesome. FanDuel.com/AdamGold, FanDuel.com/AdamGold. $200 in bonus bets awaits. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
What if, instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you could choose one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon, with big bank reliability and small bank resolve. You get 160 years of financial strength and stability and an enduring commitment to personal service. When the best of big meets the best of small, you get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank. Visit firsthorizon.com/getitall.
The new year is here. Time for change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, and AI with My Computer Career in just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
Adam Gold in studio with my man Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. All right, everything for the exterior of your home. Do you have a favorite?
I have a favorite, yeah.
I want to hear
it. So windows, doors are my favorite products. The reason why is because we are the best at installing them. You know, there's 1,000 different types of windows on the market, doors on the market, different people installing them, different companies. I don't care how good a window you get. If it's not installed properly, it's not going to do you a bit of good. I always tell people, if you buy a submarine window, the best one in the world, and you have me put it on a submarine, you don't want to get in that submarine.
I don't want to get in the submarine either way.
I hear you. So anyway, so that's the thing I say. So it's really important that you have things installed properly. We've been around since 1961. We've got a 4.9 out of 5-star Google review ratings, over 800 reviews. Give us a call. We'll come out and give you a free no obligation estimate.
It's the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. You can find them online at aluminumcompany.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? HIMS can help. Get started at hims.com/joy. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
All right, 2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's what.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's here. Coming up in Atlanta, the national championship game of college football. It is Notre Dame and Ohio State, the bluest of blue bloods. I mean, it's hard to get bluer than that. It just is. And it's hard to get bluer. I have no idea. There's no transition here. Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast. How are you, my friend? Do we have a live Cover 3 podcast in Atlanta scheduled?
No. Look.
What? We did it for the semifinals in Fort freaking Worth, Texas, and we're not doing it for the final in Atlanta?
Anybody can do a live show around a championship game in Atlanta. That's easy. That doesn't take any effort. Everybody, okay, everybody just roll out of bed. No. We set the bar higher. And not only did we set that bar high, Adam, we made you travail through sleet, snow, and slush. And I don't know if you know about the Dallas Metroplex and winter weather. It ain't exactly prepped for such things.
No, we had an issue at a Super Bowl.
And an All-Star game. Remember?
Right.
Yeah. So, the ones who made it, I was so appreciative because they were like literally having to go put themselves at risk because of the long bridges. And we all know bridges ice before everything else. Like,
I see the signs.
Yeah, I do too. We are safe drivers, if nothing else. I think that it was a great experience. It is something we are looking at again. Our friends at Live Nation, C3 Presents, are based in Austin, and so they wanted to start somewhere close to them. Our next event will be likely somewhere in Big Ten country, so stay tuned for the 2025 season.
Well, we got a Big Ten team in the national championship game, Ohio State and Notre Dame. So we'll get to the conference angle here in a second because it's our first national championship game in college football without an SEC team since ...
Last year.
What? Oh, we didn't have one
year.
last year?
Yeah.
Who was the championship game last year again?
Michigan and Washington.
Oh, that's right. Well, no, that's right. No SEC team. We had two Big Ten teams last year. My fault.
So, I've got you covered. You ready? Here we go. So this is the first year of back-to-back national championship games without an SEC team since 2004 and 2005. 2004, USC beats Oklahoma. 2005, Texas takes care of USC. And then the SEC's empire-like dominance begins in 2006 as they run off every national championship from 2006 to 2012. Then our American hero, ? Jameis Winston disrupts it in 2013 with Florida State.
I appreciate you being the fix-a-flat to my roadside blowout right there. So do we have, like, Ohio State's had line issues all year long.
Mm-hmm.
Have those line issues been repaired to the point where Notre Dame's abilities on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball won't impact Ohio State?
Yes, because they've had the same crew now for about 4 games.
Okay.
They haven't suffered further injury. You know, they had further injury in the Indiana game in November. Things got a little bit shaky in the Michigan game as well. But for the entire postseason, they have had the same starting 5, and they've been able to keep them intact, knock on all of the bucknut wood that you can. The other thing is that the big developments along the line of scrimmage are that Notre Dame against Indiana lost its best interior defensive lineman in Riley Mills, the team's leader in sacks and tackles for loss. And then in the most recent game against Penn State, lost Anthony Knapp, their starting left tackle. So the injury issues are really more lining up and piling up on the Notre Dame side than they are for Ohio State.
Okay.
Ohio State's line, is it missing the same NFL draft talent that it had going into the season? 100%. But, you know, this, and I've been mentioning this everywhere, and I think that I might have even said it with you last week. we are kind of in the Stanley Cup playoffs portion of this where everyone is banged up and everybody's hurt, and you're one rolled up, one tweak away from really having to dig deep on the depth chart. Notre Dame has been able to do this all season long, but this is an immense test doing it against Ohio State.
Chip Patterson is here, as he is every Wednesday, unless there's a scheduling conflict and we do it on a Tuesday, because I ain't missing a Chip Patterson conversation. Unless Santa Claus. Santa Claus is like the only reason that I wouldn't.
And Baby New Year. New Year was on a Wednesday.
That is true. It's all Santa Claus to me. Once Santa Claus hits, we're done for like 2 weeks. All right. So, how do you see this game? Ohio State. We talked about this last week. It took a while, but Ohio State finally started looking like the Ohio State team we saw. We thought we would see at the beginning of the season. Is that what we're going to see? Is this going to be an Ohio State coronation, or do we give Notre Dame and Riley Leonard a puncher's chance here?
Yeah, I give them a puncher's chance. I think it could be one of those games that maybe feels more dominant than the scoreboard indicates. And I say that especially after being informed by what we saw at the Cotton Bowl, because 15, 20 minutes into that game, it felt like Ohio State was blowing them out.
Oh, yeah.
But the score was 7-0.
Yeah.
And that's what Penn State, it felt like they had all the juice and all the momentum and that they were going to, run Notre Dame off the field. But you get a score late, you go into the locker room, Marcus Freeman tells that group, it's a 7-point ball game. We just got to stop the run, get our ground game going. We can go out and we can win this football game. And sure enough, that's exactly what they did. 204 rushing yards allowed by that Notre Dame defense against Penn State, most of it in the first half.
Yeah.
They really did a good job of locking them down. So I could see when they're having their discussions, Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator for Ohio State, Chip Kelly, offensive coordinator for Ohio State, Ryan Day, head coach. Jim, what do you think? What's the number? I think we can probably hold them 17, 20 points. All right, Chip, go get us 24. Right? I could see it being something where they don't want to put themselves in a position to make a mistake. And the reason they don't want to do that is that nobody has more points off turnovers this season than Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame has done such a good job of not only forcing turnovers, but then making you pay for those turnovers with the field position advantage, that I wonder if Will Howard, who can get a little loose with the football and make some mistakes, I wonder if they're going to try to protect against that. So the things I'm going to be looking for are how aggressive versus conservative is Ohio State going to be? How aggressive versus conservative is Notre Dame going to be? Because they have, for most of the season, played man coverage, which for I know that not everyone's got a football chalkboard in their head when they close their eyes at night, but if you man up on the wide receivers, that gives you more bodies to mix and match your blitz looks. And the defensive coordinator for Notre Dame is Al Golden, and Al Golden has done a terrific job of being able to dial up those pressures. So are they going to rely on what they've done all season? Just say, I know you've got Jeremiah Smith. I know you've got Emeka Buka. We trust our guys because that's what we do. So how aggressive versus conservative is Ohio State's offense? How aggressive versus conservative is that Notre Dame defense? I think Notre Dame's run game, I think Riley Leonard, again, I think that they are solid enough, even against a stellar Ohio State defense with a banged up secondary. I think they can go get us about, 20, maybe even get up to 24 points. But there is a number Ohio State can hit that Notre Dame cannot in this game. And so that's why, to me, it's about Ohio State's offense against Notre Dame's defense, because Ohio State can get the bigger number.
All right, so just based on what you said, if Ohio State leaves the door open just a little bit, Notre Dame's going to get through it.
Right.
They will get through it. If Ohio State, the way that game played out against Texas, that same the results, forget about the performance, forget about what dominance. If Ohio State doesn't maximize that in terms of points, they're going to lose the game. Because
Ohio State
Notre Dame doesn't care if they can keep you manageable, they're going to get you.
Notre Dame would have taken that game to overtime and given themselves a chance to win.
No question.
If Notre Dame has the ball at the 1 yard line on 1st and goal, that game is 21-21 at the end of regulation, and I would give Riley Leonard and that offense a great chance to score in overtime in those kinds of scenarios.
Chip Patterson is here, as he is always on Wednesdays. Were you impressed by the way Riley Leonard threw the ball? Because that to me has been the difference. Like in the game against Georgia, they didn't throw it at all. I think I maybe had 90 yards passing or something
80 yards
like that.
passing, yeah.
Right. But I was impressed by their ability to throw the ball in the win over Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to total asterisk the whole performance. 54 yards did come on a defender falling down. The Penn State corner slipped.
But there were a lot of other yards beyond the 54.
There were about 150 more beyond the 54, but I just 54 comes from defender slipping and the worst angle ever by a safety. I mean,
that play was a disaster.
Jaden Greathouse made a slow motion juke and juked the guy out of his shoes. But to your point, Aeneas Williams, the young underclassman running back, they were throwing the ball to him out of the backfield. Yep. They were finding creative ways to get that passing game going, find a little bit of a spark. And he did it all after getting his bell rocked there at the end of the first half. How about Steve Angeli, the backup quarterback, 6 for 7 passing when he came in and was able to give that give that passing game some life. That's we talked a lot about who's going to be the quarterback at Notre Dame. Quinn Ewers earlier today making his official declaration for the NFL draft. Notre Dame was one spot where some people had wondered if Quinn Ewers might end up. I think they've got a good one behind Riley Leonard. And if anything happens, if Riley Leonard's knocked out of the game, I'm not going to rush to live bet Ohio State -17 because I do think they've got a good passer of the football. Of course, at FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more. I just think that this offense don't forget the offensive coordinator for this Notre Dame offense was the offensive coordinator for Jaden Daniels and LSU last year. So he can take lots of different skill sets and figure out ways to maximize what they can do. He had 2 different quarterbacks. They had 2 different offenses. They were pulling young stars off the bench to be able to find unique ways to get them involved in the passing game. You got 1 game left. I think they will have a balanced attack for sure.
Are you picking Ohio State or Notre Dame?
I am picking Ohio State to win the football game. My official pick on the site is Ohio State -8.5. It is not my best bet. My best bet is first half under 23.5 and Ohio State team total over 27.5.
Okay. I have to think about that for a second just to process.
30-23 would not be a cover for Ohio State.
Correct, it would not.
Right, and that's a score I could see. Oh,
sure. I actually see the totals lower. I think we're going to see a lower scoring game than that.
Notre Dame would love that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the path to Notre Dame winning.
All right, let me ask you about some other quarterbacks. So we'll start with Carson Beck, who I don't delve into it like you would or like a lot of people would. Didn't he get a Lamborghini or bought a Lamborghini with the money he got to be at Georgia this past year? So he goes into the portal. First he declares for the draft. Then he comes out of the draft, goes back into the portal, and now he's at Miami. So thoughts on the travels and maybe the whip of Carson Beck?
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about whip, we need to talk about the fact that he's just following his girlfriend.
Oh, really? Who's his girlfriend? I don't know.
Haley Cavender. You know about the Cavender twins?
Oh, I know the Cavender twins. Oh, they're they decided to play this year. That's right.
Right, yeah. Haley Cavender is his girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if you want to go small domino, big domino, like the small domino is Caitlin Clark lighting up Haley Van Lith in an Elite Eight game. Then Haley Van Lith goes to TCU, cuts into the Cavender twins playing time. Cavender twins transfer to Miami. And then now that they're at Miami, that's where Carson Beck goes. And I know this for a fact. During Georgia's off week, go spend time with his girlfriend, walks around, maybe somewhere in his head thinks this could be nice. He declares for the NFL draft. Do you know where Miami got its last quarterback from? The NFL draft.
Right.
Because Cam Ward had declared for the NFL draft, and then they came with a nice proposition.
Sure.
Cam Ward decided to come back. They are literally running back the exact same playbook. I do not think they will get the same results. Like, I think
will you get better results or worse results?
The same or slightly less.
Okay.
We are talking about a quarterback who is undergoing significant arm elbow surgery.
Yeah.
And on his throwing arm.
Then why are they paying him like $3.5 million to do this?
Because
that's what Miami does.
Because honestly, the transfer portal this season has had so many less names than teams expected. So, of course, there is some tampering, but really more than tampering, teams build their boards of who they think is going to be in the portal. And that is across the board, every single conference. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I ain't hearing from if you're at the G5 level and you want to like start feeding me information, I'm all ears. But at the power conference level, personnel departments in every single conference built their boards and had a lot of the names that they thought would be in not enter. So what does that mean? Number one, it means schools are doing better at roster retention. And I think that's a good thing for the sport.
Yeah.
Number two, you don't have as much of a spending discrepancy with the way that schools are redoing their finances with the anticipation of the house settlement payments. So we are actually seeing less of the transfer portal ruining continuity, at least during this particular offseason, this particular portal window, because the response we are hearing from coaches is that the portal is not robust with talent, not in the way they thought it would be, and not in the way for a lot of these schools they hoped it would be. So many big-name quarterbacks ended up staying put that a name like Carson Beck gets to go demand a lot more than he might have if there was more competition.
Yeah, I don't know. Did he get to Darian Mensah financial terms? The guy from Duke reportedly gets a 2-year deal, $4 million a year. That's a great deal. It's an amazing deal. If that's in any way true, I have no idea if it's true. Did Beck approach those numbers? Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like,
whatever. It just doesn't matter.
What's the difference? Mario Cristobal has billionaire friends he went to high school with, right? I mean, like, that's.
Wouldn't you like one of those? Just one billionaire friend that you went to high school with?
Let's see. Do I? I don't know.
I think it's hysterical you're even thinking about it. Real quick.
Well, at Needham Bryant Broughton High School, like, you never know.
That is true. That is very true. So we talked to Manny Diaz earlier, and Diaz was very proud of the proposal that the coaches arrived at through a 4-hour meeting to move the portal opening, shorten how long it's open, shift when it opens until after the first of the year. Charlie Adams, the president of the NCAA, I think is like pretty milquetoast to it. If you were going to, for the best for all parties, if you were going to do anything to the portal, what would you do?
I love the proposal. I really do. Number one, for the coaches, you are going to spend more time with your team
right
during the end of the season, run up to the bowl game, run up to the playoff. You're going to be able to, if we're going to keep the recruiting calendar as it is, you can invest more time in trying to make sure that, you are bringing in players that you hope to develop and that you hope to retain. I think that's really good for the coaches and not adding the portal on top of that. I think it's good for the players too. And I think it's good for the messages that we supposedly are trying to impart to young men, because it has finished what you started.
Yeah.
Right?
So Dave Doran told us last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I actually mentioned that on the Cover 3 podcast this morning. I said, Dave Doran has been talking about a proposal of trying to make this a one-semester sport. Now, he's trying to push it back to where we might be asking fans to come to Orlando in mid-August. I don't know about that. But the mentality I agree with, and at least for that, I think that the finish what you started aspect, the message it would be sending to players, you would still have players who plan to enter the portal, opt out of bowl games or phantom injuries, or I mean, go talk to Jackson Smith, soft tissue injury,
Right.
we've had that go on for a long, long time. I really believe that we would be better off with it one portal. And if you have it at that time, you really do still have the chance to be able to consider school as a factor, because 10 days from January 2nd to January 12th, the earliest that a FBS school starts classes during that term is January 6th. You often have 2 weeks of drop ad.
Yeah.
So we're still within the realm of being able to make it a situation where you could enter the portal and you would be able to pick another destination, get there and get in class for the winter term or the spring semester or whatever it may be. So I love their suggestion. I also heard that there's not a lot of confidence that it will be totally adopted as proposed.
Of course.
Because that's all they can do. It's just, hey, this is what the coaches think. Send it to the oversight committee. But I think that it makes things easier on the coaches. I think it sends a better message to players. And I think that all would be good things for the sport.
All right, one more thing, and then I'll let you go. Because there's been a lot of speculation. I find it hard to believe that it would happen, but are you at all worried that Bill Belichick year one at UNC won't happen? Quiet.
Yeah, because I
got very quiet here.
I don't want to say yes, because I'm not outright worried, because there's not that much emotion tied up in it.
Right.
I will say that somebody within the industry just pointed out, and I mean, everyone's been using this, but he pointed this out on the day before the press conference.
Sure.
He said, we are talking about a man who resigned from the New York Jets on a napkin.
Right.
I won't believe it until he's on the sideline against TCU.
Okay, well, as somebody who was a Jets fan at the time, it was in Bill Parcells' contract that Belichick must be the next head coach at the Jets. Parcells resigned to orchestrate that, but Bill never wanted it. He didn't want to work for the Jets. So I understand what you're saying, and that whole idea. I just don't know how that doesn't become the narrative for an entire, not just a year, but your most recent narrative. If you do that now, I think he's going to be the coach at UNC. I don't know for how long, but I think he's the coach at UNC this year.
Yeah, I tend to think. I think that he will be the head coach at North Carolina for the 2025 season.
Yeah, I do. And beyond that, who knows? I think it depends. It depends on how the experiment goes, and I can't wait. Do you agree with this? I think this upcoming season, UNC football will be the number one story in college football, at least for the first 2 months. As long as and if their record is pretty good, it's the entire season that UNC football will have the biggest spotlight on it this year.
2 years ago, there was a story because of the head coach that was the biggest story in college football, and they finished 4-8.
Right.
That was the Colorado Buffaloes.
Yep.
Now they came back the next season and finished tied for first place in the Big 12 standings. But Deion Sanders also brought two first-round picks with him. So, we'll see.
Yeah.
This is going to be. I don't think that they will lose game. I don't think that they will lose some of the games that they had lost as we continue to see the transfer portal wind down, the NFL draft declarations come in, looking at the roster, and I am curious to see how it ends up playing out.
Chip Patterson. He's got an array of best bets that I don't remember, but he does have Ohio State beating Notre Dame. Sir, enjoy the national championship game. We will talk to you on Wednesday of next week.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.
Chip Patterson is the best. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to stretch. We're going to place bets. We have Canes in Buffalo tonight. I have an array of things that are designed to buy a Carolina Hurricanes win. That's the whole goal. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
I choose to stay up to date on my vaccines to protect what matters most, my community.
Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you.
So make sure you have protection against new virus strains that continue to spread this fall and winter.
Don't wait. Get up to date.
Because my health is our health.
Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Don't wait. Get your updated shots today.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends, look closer. Right in your community, there are youth who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So, look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. Covenant House is the national leader providing safe housing for youth, 50 years strong. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. Every youth who walks into Covenant House gets clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So, look closer at Covenant House and help us fight youth homelessness. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
This is Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's on the ones and twos. Brooke Pryor covers the Steelers for ESPN. Will join us next hour. Doesn't look like Mike Tomlin is going to go anywhere, but we will talk to Brooke about the end of the Steelers season and where they go from here. We'll also get her take on the Chiefs, a team she used to cover, and more on the NFL playoffs. Brooke Pryor joins us next hour. All right, with that said, it's time to stretch.
Okay, so I played the Beatles for a reason, but I'll tell you that in just a minute as to why. But first, I was reading, I always like to see back in the day what happened on this day such and such years ago. Right. So I found out some things. So running it all the way back 133 years ago, the rules of basketball were first printed in the, quote, Triangle, which is a newspaper from Springfield, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Where the game originated. So 133 years ago that happened. Also, 58 years ago, the Green Bay Packers won their first Super Bowl. Won't be happening again this year, but they beat the Kansas City Chiefs 35-10. The quarterback for Green Bay was Bart Starr. Mm-hmm. He was the MVP, and tickets cost $10.
$10. Well, that's what they cost now.
That's it. That's all it costs.
To print.
Yeah, exactly.
Each one.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, I thought this was fun because it's a little music note, which will also relate into the next story. 58 years ago, the Rolling Stones appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show. Remember that? Way back when?
Wow. Yes.
No,
I don't remember it, but
man, Ed Sullivan shows. Those late night shows were good. And then 47 years ago, the Dallas Cowboys beat the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 12. Tickets cost $30, however.
$30 for that one. So we had $10 in Super Bowl 1, yes, $30 in Super Bowl 12. Yeah. So that's 11 Super Bowls later, it went up by 300%, right?
Right.
Is it 300%? I don't know how the math works there. So let's see, another 300% for Super Bowl 20-something, mm-hmm. Which would take us to $90, another 300%. Yeah, we're probably at about that.
Yeah.
If it goes up 300% every, 10 or so years.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Now it costs $30 just for the fees. Not even all the fees, just a fee.
Yeah, one of the fees.
It's just one of the fees.
And it's like, it's $200 to park, even though you're not driving there.
Right. They're just throwing out these charges to people. So, yeah. And then I can't believe this was 16 years ago because it didn't feel that long ago, but 16 years ago was when Sully safely landed the jet that was disabled by a bird on the Hudson River. Right?
There you go.
Did you ever see that movie?
No.
It was a good one, but, and it was also good that it happened the way that it did. People didn't get hurt. But the reason that I bring up some of the music information and played the Beatles was because science has now determined who has been more influential, the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. I know.
Right. It gets into, who's the answer is the Beatles.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's why I played them coming into this, because an indie rocker decided that they were going to investigate. And by him investigating this, he used Wikipedia, because that's really some good investigation work. And Wikipedia's list of 479 mainstream rock performers to see which were named as influences to people. And that's how they did their investigation. So the Beatles won that one with 210 mentions.
So here's where I thought you were going to go with this. Which was the most influential Beatle is where I thought you were going to go.
Oh, yes.
And they are all very different.
Yes.
The biggest hot take would be the actual best Beatle, George Harrison. Mm-hmm. That would be the biggest hot take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that he was, but I've heard those arguments. They were different. They were amazing.
He was underrated.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
Yeah.
There's so many good documentaries on the Beatles out there. Highly recommend watching it.
And if you want to say the Stones were the better actual rock and roll band, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Beatles were more of a pop band anyway.
Stones didn't even make it the second, though. Led Zeppelin made it second. So with 151, I thought, yes.
Somewhere down on Hodges Street at Salon AG. My wife doesn't even know why she's fist pumping.
Yes, but that's why.
Go Robert Plant.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, she would love a poster that's in my house.
She has a Robert Plant poster hanging up in the salon.
We might have the same one.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very famous one with a bird and everything. But
not a bird. It's just no shirt on.
Oh, okay. Well,
gotta compete with that.
That was typical. The rest, you can Google the rest. But the other influential mentions that this indie rocker found were basically all bands that you could buy their T-shirts at Target. So, which I think most people do. But you know what you can't find at Target? Good bets.
Better than mine.
Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100. Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide. Okay, you can owe me. I owe you one.
Shouldn't have bet. Shouldn't have taken Miami plus a 24.5. I had the under.
Oh.
Shouldn't have done Miami plus 24.5. My West London parlay lost because Chelsea couldn't beat Bournemouth, and Fulham lost, and Fulham didn't win either. They lost. I'm bad. You go first.
Oh, well, hopefully these won't be bad, especially because I'm starting with a Canes bet since they're going to be in Buffalo. And I don't know, as much as I want, will Jordan Stahl score another goal? I don't know, but let me do Seth Jarvie. Anytime goal scorer plus 210.
All right, we're going to go anytime goal scorer Jackson Blake plus 550.
Ooh, I like
550 for Jackson Blake, anytime goal scorer. Yeah, go.
Okay, my next one, I'm taking the Canes to win this one because just doing it, buying it. Give me the Canes to win. They are favored, so give me the under 5.5. That's plus 210.
All right, now we're going to buy the win.
Okay.
Buffalo to win plus 175.
Okay. Yeah, I like it.
I'm trying to buy the win.
I get it.
I'm offering.
Totally buy the win. Well, and I'm doing this one because, I don't know, I like this player, and maybe he'll score. He didn't score for me last time. The Edmonton Oilers in Minnesota taking on the Wild. Why not Zach Hyman, anytime goal scorer, plus 170. He didn't do it for me last time, but I'm telling you, keep
like
trying.
Every week we have a Zach Hyman anytime goal.
Keep trying.
Rasmus Dahlin, by the way, this is kind of an addition, plus 450 anytime goal for the Buffalo Sabres. Dahlin hasn't scored a lot of goals this year, but he has scored against Carolina before. All right, we have, at some point I'm going to get back on this Premier League roll. I'm a little bit shaky right now. We had my West London parlay didn't hit yesterday. I'm better than that. The North London derby, that is Tottenham and Arsenal. It's at the Emirates. So Arsenal, you would think, Arsenal, great. Tottenham, a mess. We have no idea what to expect with Tottenham. I expect a draw. Plus 450 in the North London derby for a draw. And also as an aside, it is the debut of David Moyes to Everton Part 2. He was the manager for like a little bit more than a decade back, about a decade ago. He's back, just took over. They're going to beat Aston Villa today at home, plus 250 if you want the Toffees there. I don't know. At some point, we're gonna figure this whole thing out. But it's been a minute since I won. So maybe, if I could suggest, ignore what I said and go the other way. Quick! You still have time. Don't hit send yet.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always Bo time.
What's this?
We're expanding the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club.
That's a pretty big wrecking ball.
Well, with all these new scratch-offs, this place is going to be packed with new winners. Okay, let's go ahead and knock this wall down. This is where we're putting the polo field. Whoa, patience, Trixie.
This month's tickets are loaded with $150 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 3.31 to 4.55. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a walk-up with central air and a skylight, and you found it. Now, every Friday night, you get to fall asleep to the sound of your downstairs neighbors' dance parties. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliate and other insurers not available in all states.
Parenting is hard. Technology can make it harder. The Family Media Plan developed by the American Academy of Pediatrics helps make it easier. Go to healthychildren.org/media plan today to create the media plan that's right for your family.
You turned your dating app for pets into a business, which just turned over its first billion. You turned around the fortunes of a failing football club, politely turned down a Nobel Peace Prize, and turned up on Mars in your own reusable rocket. All while struggling to turn on the dishwasher. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover business development titles on Audible.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
It kind of felt like the Steelers were going through the motions a little bit on the field and in the locker room post-game. As far as like season-ending locker rooms that I've been in, or at least losing locker rooms I've been in, this one was weird. It felt like there was a resignation. Like they kind of had accepted that this was how the season was going to end, and it almost felt like there was some relief that it was finally over. I mean, this is a team that has not led in a football game since December 8th, so it almost felt like they knew it was coming. It was very odd.
That's Brooke Pryor, and she will join us in about 15 minutes. So remember at the beginning of the show, by the way, it's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam. That's Victoria. We're live on YouTube. You can always find us here, youtube.com/Adam Gold Show or /999 Fan. Every day, noon to 3, live. For instance, I know in Charlotte, we time shift. They time shift the show, so we're on in the evenings. And the Hornets are on tonight, but it's late, so you'll still be able to listen to us and then, I believe, get to the Hornets, at least partially. So if you are like, hey, Let's see what Gold's saying now. You can always find us on YouTube and then listen back to the parts you like.
Exactly. I know. And our friends in Charlotte, good friend Travis
Yes.
T-Bone, told me about the minor league baseball team that's down there, the Harbor Hippos.
Harbor Hippos.
So can't wait to get one of those shirts.
I need to know more about them because they already have a minor league team in Charlotte
Yep.
called the
this
Knights.
is the Lake Norman, I think, was what I saw. So Lake Norman Harbor
The Lake
Hippos.
Norman Harbor Hippos. I'll be curious as to what league they play in.
Mhm.
We're not adding a lot of official minor league baseball teams. In general, those end up being like college, summer league. You know, like we have the Holly Springs Salamanders.
Yes.
Right? And it's part of the Coastal Plain League. And those are collegiate wood bat, because the college guys play with aluminum bats. Composite bats are they're not aluminum anymore. And major leagues do not use composite bats. They use wood bats. So because the two are different, they react differently. They'd like to see college kids use the wooden bats. So we have these. We used to have just Cape Cod League, but now there are many of them. Coastal Plain League, one of them. So I don't know if it's that or if it's another independent league or whatever. We also have a new minor league hockey team.
I know, the Greensboro Gargoyles. My dad just went there yesterday.
Okay, awesome. And I
Check
believe
them
they're
out.
owned in part by the guys who
Yes.
run Spit and Chicklets. Paul Bissonette. So, and there are other people. I don't know all the guys. But anyway, so yeah, look, entertainment, sports entertainment. We are here for that.
I know.
So, and of course, if you watch the show on YouTube, no prizes, but we hope to entertain you with sports. All right, let's entertain you with sports in the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right, let's get right to it. We'll start last night. Duke picked up a quad 4 win over the University of Miami. That's right. It is a league game that is a quad 4 win because Miami is ranked about 230 in the country. Well, they have a couple of good players, by the way. I mean, Lynn Kidd is a good player, and Bethea, the guard, number 3, is a good player. But other than that, they're awful, and Duke is not awful, and that game was a total mismatch. Anyway, Duke did have to overcome something. Malik Brown, one of their best defenders, not just a defender who's a big guy, but he can defend anybody, has a knee injury and is going to be out for a significant period of time. So other guys had to pick up the slack, according to John Shire.
It's just an opportunity to find something. And for Pat, we have such belief in Pat as a player. Pat has not been afforded the time that most freshmen have had based on his injury. And so he's still, I thought he gave us some really good minutes. He's still working through stuff, and I thought he just gave us a big lift. Thought he played really good defense for him to get these minutes. He'll take another jump the next game. We weren't able to look at the lineup with Gillis, with Mason and Cooper together much. But Mason, played the 5-some for us, which I thought was a good look. And then obviously just everybody else stepping up. We need them to be ready.
Duke's got a lot of weapons, man. People forget that Patrick Ngongba was like a top 15 recruit, and he gets no run at Duke. He'll play now because he's a big man, and they need a backup big man behind Kamen Malawak, who was awesome last night. So, but Malawak's going to play a lot more than he was. He's going to play a lot more minutes, but now Ngongba will be the backup. Mason Gillis hit 3 threes. It was a machine last night. It really was unfair to Miami. Miami needed Duke to really play poorly just to keep that game manageable. Duke did not play poorly. It was not manageable for Miami. Kevin Keatts, NC State head coach. Marcus Hill has been their best perimeter player, maybe their best player. I don't think we're going to get much of an argument from there. They would love to have Mike James, but they don't. But Kevin Keatts has Marcus Hill and talked about his development.
We're starting to move him around in different spots, and I like the way he's playing. And, I said this, as he gets comfortable, you can put him in different spots and understand that part of it. But, what, you'll see him play some point, between him, Breon Pass, Trey Parker, and obviously, and Michael, we're going to shift him around and move him in different spots.
So, NC State has I don't want to get caught up in thinking about things in relation to them getting an at-large bid. That's not going to happen. But if the team that I watched against Notre Dame can become more like that team, then this is a game that they should win. So let's see, because Virginia Tech isn't very good. So let's see what NC State team shows up. We talked about Trey Parker as a guy who's going to play some more. McNeil should play some more. Paul McNeil. We want to start seeing the real NC State play over the next few weeks as we, get ready to kind of turn the corner. Duke's already 7-0 in the league, so we're almost halfway through conference play. All right, now here's Hubert Davis. Now, Seth Trimble missed some time with an injury. He had a concussion, his second concussion this year. Not second concussion this year. I think he had one last year. But here's Davis on a very important piece, getting back into the flow.
You just have to find a rhythm. The only way that you can find a rhythm in basketball is actually playing. The only way that you can get in shape, basketball shape, is playing basketball. And I was really happy with Seth's activity, especially in the second half. You were right. He was able to get steals, deflections, get into the open court, which, Seth is really gifted and really good at. And, it just takes time to get back into that rhythm. And I'm just happy that Seth is back because he is a huge piece of our team. And we need him in so many different areas out there on the floor, and I'm just glad that he's back in the lineup.
All right. For me, the most important thing they need out of Seth Trimble is defense. Now, we've already talked about the Tar Heels ad nauseum about what their issues are. They really don't have enough size. Jalen Washington has had a couple of good games. I'm not sold that this is the Jalen Washington we are going to get for the balance of the season, but regardless, doesn't make a difference what I think. We'll find out over the course of the year, and it was certainly encouraging to see the way he played against NC State. But perimeter defense is never going to be good enough unless guys like Seth Trimble can play a lot of minutes, because he gives them a better chance than does Elliot Cadeau and R.J. Davis, because those are two very small guys. And if you think about what Duke provides a ton of size. For the most part, nobody's shorter than 6'5" that Duke puts on the court. Nobody. That ain't easy.
Everyone's got a foot on me.
Yeah. When you're Cadeau and you're 6 foot and you're R.J. Davis and you're 6 foot. I mean, even Trimble's 6'3".
Wow.
But at least he plays a little bit bigger. He's got longer arms, blah, blah. Like, man, it's just so hard for them to defend on the perimeter. So, to me, that's where they really need Trimble. All right, one final thing, and we will close shop after this. Adam Schefter of ESPN. Dallas is looking for a head coach. There was a lot of talk about Deion Sanders yesterday, but what about another former Dallas Cowboys player, maybe a tight end?
I believe that he's in that category that Deion is, because of the respect and regard that Jerry Jones has for Jason Witten. Now, Jason hasn't done it at this level, but you know what? There have been other coaches that haven't done it and stepped in, I think, and done well. Jason Witten has been such an impressive guy over such a long period of time, and he's done that in front of Jerry Jones. He is family to the Joneses. And so, yes, I do believe that he'll be a candidate. Yes, a candidate.
I mean, he's certainly more along the lines in terms of personality, more along the lines of what Jerry Jones hires. But I also don't think for a second that he wouldn't consider hiring Deion Sanders, who I think it's been sort of proven is a good coach. He's certainly a great show, but I think he's proven to be a good coach. Granted, he had two of the best players in college football last year in his son Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback, and Travis Hunter, the cornerback / wide receiver. But he can get good players at Dallas, too. All right, when we come back, Brooke Pryor from ESPN covers the Steelers. We'll find out how she thinks this is ultimately going to go in the Steel City, and then we'll talk NFL playoffs with her next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's bowl season. Listen for college football's best through January 20th. Every major bowl will be brought to you live.
Jack Sawyer, the defensive end, coming up with the biggest play in Arlington, Texas, that could have Ohio State headed to Atlanta.
Bowl season on 99.9 The Fan and Buzz Sports is presented by Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford, Amedios, and Roofworks.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. And right now, Zero Res has the biggest sale ever going on in celebration of the new year. Make sure you get all that 2024 dirt behind and look ahead to 2025. That's right, out the door 2024. We're feeling fresh, clean, and zero resified in 2025. Right now, the best part is it's all gone from 2024. Carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery. Basically every surface in your house can be zero resified and leave that dirt behind. The offer right now, 3 rooms of carpets cleaned starting at just $109 and take an additional $100 off your air ducts cleaning. The offer is valid through January 31st, so be sure to get on it now. Visit ZeroResRaleigh.com or call 919-995-0000 and ask for the 99.9 The Fan Station Special. Spell it forward or backward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Organize easy. Organize tough. Customize your work truck or van with upfit solutions from Van Products. Steel and aluminum shelving, toolboxes, data files, cabinets, drawers, conduit carriers, ladder racks, everything safe and secure. Everything built as unbreakable as you by Adrian Steel. Backed by the best warranty in the business. 3 years, 36,000 miles. Everything custom installed by Van Products so you know it's done right. From a single work rig to a fleet, choose custom installed upfit solutions from Van Products.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Our favorite reason to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler? Free service for life with no fine print. That's right. When you buy your engagement ring or any piece of jewelry at Diamonds Direct, you will never have to pay a dime in the future for sizing, cleaning, or routine maintenance. Even if she accidentally knocks out a side accent diamond, Diamonds Direct will replace it free. Now, other stores claim to offer warranties, but the catch is that they won't honor it unless you bring your ring in for regular inspections. But at Diamonds Direct, inspections are never required. There's no gotcha clause, no fine print, no looking for ways to void the warranty. Plain and simple, at Diamonds Direct, we stand behind what we sell, and we're committed to service it at no charge for life, period. Diamonds Direct, the jeweler you can trust with a no questions asked 100% free lifetime warranty with no strings attached. Come see us to learn more. Official jeweler of the Carolina Hurricanes and proud sponsor of NC State Athletics, and proud to call the Triangle home. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.
This is is Adam Gold.
Yeah, but he's real patient, like he
Right.
said in his interview
Well,
today.
in all other aspects of life.
Yes.
If he's in line at the drive-thru and it's taking a long time,
Right.
he will not ram the car in front of him.
Exactly. Someone's pressing his shirt. He will wait 30 seconds for it to be crisper.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold, Victoria on the ones and twos. Earlier today, we were talking, I don't know how we got into the conversation about trading places. And I was running through the cast. We had Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd and Jamie Lee Curtis and Ralph Bellamy. And I couldn't come up with the other brother, Don. I lost train of thought. My buddy Greg texted and said Don Amici.
Yes.
That was who he was. Like we're talking about a classical actor who goes back to the days of those radio dramas back into the 30s. It's where he started in Chicago. But Don Amici, classy, had one of those pencil-thin mustaches.
Some people are trying to bring those back.
Won an Academy Award for Cocoon.
Okay.
So, but yes, the Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici were amazing in that movie as well. Brooke Pryor, ESPN at BE Pryor on Twitter, joins us. She covers the Steelers, and it has been certainly interesting times. It feels like forever ago that the Steelers went to Baltimore and lost to the Ravens. It was a Saturday night. It is a long time ago now. Has the mood settled in Pittsburgh at all?
It depends on who you ask. The fans would say no, they are not settled. They are still very frustrated in how the season ended, those 5 straight losses, including the cherry on top of the just pile of you-know-what, would be the loss to the Ravens in the AFC wildcard round. And I think like the external pressure, temperature, all of those things in the fan base is still really high. Internally, it feels very unsettled. I've kind of described the locker room after the game and then even Tomlin's press conference this week as feeling just kind of like going through the motions. There were no fireworks. There wasn't like big passionate emotions about, being upset about losing or anything like that. And I've been in a lot of losing locker rooms, especially season-ending locker rooms. And this one just kind of felt like relief more than anything, and maybe some apathy. It is very strange, and it's not what you would expect out of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but maybe what you would expect out of a team that went into that game losing 4 straight.
Brooke Pryor covers the Steelers for ESPN at BE Pryor on Twitter. Are the players still on board?
Yes, I think so. I think that's kind of the tough thing to evaluate Mike Tomlin is that if you're going by postseason wins and losses, particularly losses as of late, 8 seasons without a playoff win, the lack of results is something that's undeniable and is a cold, hard fact. But when you talk to the players in the locker room, they very much bristle at even the hint of a suggestion that Mike Tomlin might not be the right guy anymore. I mean, TJ Watt was saying that, he said, I don't watch Hard Knocks, but I know that they might capture Mike Tomlin in the meeting rooms, but they don't capture what he means to this team, what he means to this community, what he means to this organization. And Pat Freiermuth said we wouldn't have even been in the playoffs if not for Mike Tomlin. So the thing is, he raises the floor. That is undeniable. He keeps his teams from having a losing season. But what he can't seem to help them get to is a winning postseason, and then you're just stuck in this purgatory where you really don't want to part ways with him because it could be worse, but you wonder if maybe it's time to try to find something better or bottom out. You could get better by bottoming out, and the Steelers typically don't do that.
No, I mean, you can't bottom out if you've never had a losing season. That's just math to me.
Exactly. And It's one of those, like, you have to take one step back to take two steps forward, but the Steelers organization doesn't even want to entertain the idea of taking a step back because they just don't see that as an option. So instead, they just stay in the same spot. And then Mike Tomlin said yesterday, he was asked, does it feel like this organization is stuck? And he said no. To say that it's stuck would be to say that there's a feeling of helplessness, and I don't feel that. So then he was asked, okay, well then what gives you optimism that you can pull out of where you are right now? And he said, well, I don't feel optimism either. I'm not ready to sell that right now. So by definition, would you not be stuck somewhere between helplessness and optimism? I mean, it feels like we're just talking in circles.
Well, I think when you say stuck, there's a resignation that it can't get better, right? But this is the way I look at it, and I run the risk of being a Mike Tomlin apologist because, well, I've admitted to that. I've admitted to being a Mike Tomlin apologist. I think he's one of the best coaches. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He's still one of the best 5 or 6 coaches in the National Football League today, in my opinion, with all of the postseason stuckness or non-stuckness, as it may be, notwithstanding. I just think he hasn't had a good quarterback when he's gotten to the playoffs since they last won a playoff game. Because the end of Ben Roethlisberger, he might have had good regular seasons, but by the time they got to the playoffs, he was absolutely broken, couldn't move, and it ultimately didn't work out well. So I think there are circumstances around that, just like there are circumstances around the 4-game losing streak that ended the season. It ain't like he lost to the Bears 4 times. Like, only the last loss, the one to the Bengals, to a team that needed to win to have any chance of making the playoffs. Only the last one I thought was a bad loss. They lost to the Eagles and Ravens on the road, and then the Chiefs at home. I mean, those are acceptable losses, I think.
They might be acceptable on paper if you just see the L, if you just see the letter. But if you watch those games and if you look at the final score, it's not just that they lost to those teams, it's that they weren't even competitive.
Right.
And that, to me, is the biggest red flag. It's one thing I think the Bengals loss, you're right, is a bad one, but they were at least competitive in that game, competitive defensively. To me, the biggest problem, like you mentioned, is the quarterback, is the issues that they've had on offense. And you're right, Mike Tomlin has not won a playoff game since he's had a truly good quarterback, although I think we also have to factor in his culpability in determining the quarterback. I mean, Kenny Pickett, I think very much was a Kevin Colbert, Art Rooney-driven draft pick, but Mike Tomlin signed off on it, just like Mike Tomlin signed off on Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and he certainly signed off on moving Russ back into the starting lineup once he was healthy from that calf injury, and it works. But I think that if he had kind of gone against his precedent and gone back to Justin Fields after a game or two when Russ was struggling, or figured out a way to use Justin Fields, maybe then I'd say, well, you know what, he's trying his best. He does need new quarterbacks, things. He can turn it around. But when I look at, yes, Mike Tomlin is a great coach. So is Andy Reid. And it didn't work for Andy Reid in Philadelphia after he'd been there for a long time. He needed a change of scenery. The Eagles needed a new face, a new voice giving the message. And it worked out well for both sides. It's not guaranteed to happen every time, but I just think that it's something that should be considered. It's not going to at this point. I mean, his 3-year extension kicks in this year, but I think it's something that I think Steelers fans are tired of feeling condescended to when they hear a lot of outside voices saying be grateful for Mike Tomlin. I kind of think about it in terms of like if you're dating someone and all of your buddies are saying, man, your girlfriend is so hot. You are so lucky. Like, she would have a million dates if she were single. Well, maybe the two of you guys aren't compatible, but just because everybody else wants her doesn't mean that you should keep her. Like, sometimes it's in the best interest of everybody to move on, but that's not the point that the Steelers are at right now.
I think you're right. I happen to think Mike Tomlin is very attractive. Brooke Pryor is joining. That's how I translated it. Brooke Pryor, ESPN reporter, covers the Steelers, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Tomlin had some things to say about not just Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson and the offense. I think he was right in that their offense contributed to the fact that their defense could not stop Baltimore. However, here's where I want to just kind of point this out. I appreciated and admired the decision when they won the toss to take the ball because he knew they needed to get out in front of the Ravens, at least get a field goal, get something on the board. But then they approached their offense as though it was October and not January, when there was a reason you took the ball. They should have gone for it on fourth down when they were already trailing in the game, when it was fourth and, half a football, because Russell threw a bad pass that prevented Freiermuth from getting the first down. A better pass, it's an easy first down. The bad pass, turning him around, eliminated that. I just thought they approached offense like it was just another game. Too conservatively, it was a contradiction. So, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that, in some ways, you're right. I was very intrigued and encouraged to see that they took the ball first. And they came out throwing, which is a change from what they had been doing. They had been one of the most predictable teams in the league in terms of running on first and second down, and one of the least successful teams in the league on those first downs, and particularly the first down runs. So I thought, okay, great, they're going to come out throwing. Maybe we're going to see something different. But you're right, the decision to punt on 4th and inches was puzzling and very contradictory to not only what Mike Tomlin talked about going into this game, but also just the creed that he lives by. We don't live in our fears.
Right.
That's living in your fears. That's also, to your point about the defense, so unfair to this defense. Like, should they have been better at stopping Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? Absolutely. They have got to tackle better, be in better positions, all of those things. But for Mike Tomlin to say, all right, well, the offense tried. Okay, defense, you're up. If I'm a defensive player on this team, I am exhausted, particularly watching Hard Knocks last night and seeing them come off the field. I think it's in the second half, and Russell Wilson walks by them and says something along the lines of like, all right, get a turnover, change the game. Get a turnover, change the game. If I'm sitting on the bench, it would take everything in me to not snap and say, all right, get a first down, change the game.
Yeah.
Like, we're a team here, man. Like, yes, you just scored a touchdown, but we've been on the field so much, these guys are gassed. So they, for as much as they were able to play complementary football early in the year, that completely went out the window when they started to play tough defenses and offenses that are hard to stop. The defense got gassed, and the offense couldn't sustain a drive, not only just to score, but even to give the defense any kind of reprieve.
100%. I always thought that Russ was going to be a difficult sell to Pittsburgh's defense. He's a little too pom-pom waving, I think, for that group. Final thing for Brooke Pryor. I realize that the Steelers, they're not going to move on from Mike, right? Tomlin is going to be the coach. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would be shocked. I would fall out of my chair if he were not the coach next year.
Russ and Justin back as quarterback, or are they going out into the market for another quarterback?
I think they will go with one of them will come back. If I'm the Steelers, I go with Justin Fields. He has a higher ceiling, and at this point, it looks like a higher floor based on what we saw from Russell Wilson at the end of the season.
Cooked is the term that comes to mind with Russell Wilson. It's a shame. He had a great career, but he does appear done. All right, we have 2 games left in the AFC. Care to take a stab at either of those before we have to say goodbye?
Ooh, I'm going to go Chiefs beat the Texans, and gosh, I don't want anybody to lose Bills-Ravens. Like, I'm so excited for this game, and I want it for both fan bases, which, Steelers fans are probably like, oh my gosh, how could a Steelers writer say that?
Right.
I say that as a journalist that loves good football and has so enjoyed watching Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. But I agree with what Chris Berman said when he was at Ravens practice and they showed it on Hard Knocks. He said he just felt like there was something special happening in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens win. I think we end up with the Chiefs-Ravens showdown, and I will have my popcorn ready for that.
Yeah, I actually think the Ravens got 3 more wins in them. I think they are an absolute juggernaut at this point. I think Buffalo. That's going to be a great football game. It's an absolute coin toss. Buffalo could win the game for the exact same price. I actually give a slight edge in coaching to Baltimore over Buffalo, but I don't think there's anything between the two quarterbacks. They're both unbelievable. And what I suggest is we play that game twice, and we take the aggregate winner and we send them to the Super Bowl. No offense to Kansas City. Do you think Kansas City is vulnerable this week? Because I do.
Yes, because they haven't played their starters in 3 weeks. It's been a minute.
Yep.
But I think that it could look like in the first half that the Chiefs they have an Achilles heel, they're vulnerable, all these things. I have some faith that the second half they will pull away. The Chiefs, this is when they elevate. This is when doubt them at your own risk. I think,
right.
That it's more likely that we see a third Super Bowl parade in Kansas City than we see them going home and losing to the Texans.
Oh, man. Just doused my Baltimore's going to win 3 games prediction right there. Brooke Pryor, at BE Pryor on Twitter, the best. I appreciate your time. We will talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
The best. I do. She brings up a very good point. It'll be 24 days since Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, that Patrick Mahomes guy. 3.5 weeks since they last played. They did not play in Week 18, right? They didn't play the last game of the season. Their game prior to that was Christmas Day, which they played that game on a Wednesday. So they were done from the 25th, and their game will be played on, the 19th, right, of January. It's a long time to not play. The argument against the bye week, whatever, is what it is. But they have had essentially 3 bye weeks. It's been a long time since those guys have played. But I will say this: even had the Chiefs played last week, they have simply been good enough. Now, there is something to be said for going 15-2 while just being good enough. So there is something to that. Do not take it. I'm not saying, well, they've been lucky. At times they have been. But, man, when you win every week, I mean, that's beyond lucky. So they lost in Denver to close out the season with just their uniforms. Denver had to win. And the only other loss is in Buffalo. That's it. Something to that. I don't think they're going to lose to the Texans, but I think that game is going to be very tight. Very tight. All right, we got to rewind. We'll talk a little college football. We talked a lot of college football today. A little college football, a little hockey. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and the playoffs are here finally. And now all customers can get a no-sweat NFL same-game parlay for any game. Just place a 3-leg NFL same-game parlay. You will get bonus bets back if your bet does not win, so have some fun with it. Same-game parlay is the perfect way, the complement, if you will, to the NFL playoffs. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of the NFL and your ticket to more fun during the playoffs. FanDuel, 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max wager $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
A crisis moment is any moment where you feel overwhelmed and as if you aren't able alone to handle what's happening. You don't have to be alone with that feeling. And when that feeling comes is exactly when you should reach out, you should get connected, and you should be in community. We care, we listen, we help. Call, text, or chat 988 anytime.
Call, text, or chat 988 24/7.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
It's that time of year when we gear up to cheer on our favorite team. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on the team you love the most by getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They are safe and effective. Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains spreading this fall and winter. So make sure you don't miss the big game and you protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
This is Adam Gold.
What, a minute 53 into the game? Heat of the moment?
Right.
What kind of heat of the moment is that? We haven't even gotten to simmer yet.
I know. Did someone flip him off in the parking lot? Like, what are we...
Seriously.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's on the ones and twos. Hurricanes in Buffalo tonight. It's an early start. If you are listening in Raleigh and normally would listen to the games on the radio, they start a little earlier today. We'll have the Storm Watch, the pregame show at 5:30. So no heavy lifting for Tim Donnelly, who comes on after us in Raleigh. But 5:30 for the Storm Watch, and then the game just after 6 o'clock, which means that we will get to the Canes Corner podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts, an hour earlier tonight than we do normally. So sometime between 9:30 and 9:45, we hit start on that sucker. So all of this available on YouTube. This show, youtube.com/Adam Gold Show, or 99.9 The Fan.
You can watch us right now.
You can watch us right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. And also the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately following every Hurricanes game, youtube.com/Canes Corner. It's just that simple. And if you want to just get your podcast wherever you get them, this show is available via podcast, The Adam Gold Show. And the Canes Corner podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. And you can give us a review. And if I like the review, I'll read it. And if I don't like the review, I'll read it.
Yeah, works both ways.
Right. I think I mentioned this the other day, or maybe I mentioned it on the podcast.
Oh.
That somebody complained, I rely on this podcast for information for every game, which is great.
Right.
And then said, but I have to be honest, I was disappointed because the last two episodes, and this goes back to when I missed two straight games, the last two episodes weren't there. What was I to do?
Oh, no.
And I responded, I said, well, life happens sometimes.
It's been busy.
Right. And you can't actually watch every game.
Mm-hmm.
I have missed a couple per month.
Yeah. Holidays.
Right. Well, no, I worked the entirety of the Christmas holiday.
Same.
I covered 6 games while I was on vacation.
Yeah.
So, no, I won't be doing this Friday's game against Vegas. And I won't be doing Monday's game against Chicago. Although, if I'm back from a trip, yeah, it was soccer. We have youth soccer. If I am back in time to watch the game on Monday night, I will pop on and at least do a quick podcast, just so people, who get their information based on what I think, then it'll be there. But if I can't watch the games, I'm not doing a podcast. I'm sorry. And we'll all get over it. But we appreciate the rating. We appreciate you appreciating the podcast.
We appreciate it all.
Exactly. I'm very appreciative of everything. Real quick, before I get into the Hurricanes, the Penguins waived goaltender Tristan Jarry today. And I think I mentioned earlier that he was already 35. Not. At the end of his contract, he'll be 33.
So you were just aging him a little bit.
Yes, and it could be the fact that sometimes I need readers.
It happens.
And I didn't have them on. So, yes. But he's 30 years old now, I believe. But he has been in a kind of a professional, we'll call it a tailspin. He hasn't been good, which is why the Penguins are waiving him. And so somebody said, should the Hurricanes pick him up? And the answer to that is no. He hasn't been good. That's part of it. But after this year, there are still 3 years left on a contract that will pay him nearly $5.5 million a year. So the answer is no. And even if the Penguins picked up half of the contract, which that's the most they could pick up, you would still never do that. Because if he's not good, I don't think he's better than Pyotr Kochetkov. And you'd pay Kochetkov less for less time. Because Kochetkov has, I believe, 2 years left on a deal that pays him $2 million per. And even if you got the Penguins to pay half of Jarry's contract, it's still about $2.7 million a year for 3 more years. And I don't think the Hurricanes want any part of that for a goaltender who really isn't that good anymore. But goaltending is weird. Theoretically, he could get kind of snap back into it, but I don't think that's a risk they want to take with 3 years remaining on a contract. All right, with that said, let me just get to a couple of Canes things and then we'll rewind. First is Dustin Tokarski is playing tonight. Remember the Tokarski story, and he's a great story. Somebody who did not have an AHL job, a minor league job. He's 35 years old. Did not have a minor league job until Pyotr Kochetkov got hurt in the game against Columbus before Christmas. And then, because it was, I think, a couple of weeks before Christmas, and then because the Hurricanes needed a goaltender within the system because the two goaltenders that were in Chicago were then on the NHL roster. The Chicago Wolves brought in Tokarski on a professional tryout. Like, they were just using him to, play a few games while Spencer Martin and Yanni Peretz had to be up here playing or sitting. And Tokarski played so well that they gave him a contract. And Spencer Martin's game fell off, so they brought Tokarski here, Spencer Martin back to the American Hockey League, and Tokarski has played really well. But it's important to remember who he is, and that is a minor league goalie on a little bit of a heater right now, and at some point that goes away. But he's a minor league goalie, and he's 35. So they need a better backup. But the truth is that their better backup is Pyotr Kochetkov, and he's starting, except he won't start tonight. He has a little bit of a hand issue, as Rod Brind'Amour told us, that he's just not 100%, but he's okay to back up. If they need him, he can play, but they decided to give him the day, and he'll get back in the lineup on Friday against Vegas. My guess is he plays Friday against Vegas and Monday against Chicago, and then in Dallas, or maybe he doesn't play Monday in Chicago, and he plays Tuesday in Dallas because they play Monday, Tuesday. The Hurricanes will be in Dallas next week. So anyway, with all of that said, they still have goaltending issues, but they're not going to do anything about it because Frederik Andersen is due back. My guess is right after the Four Nations tournament. We are about a little bit less than a month from the start of the Four Nations tournament. And that's when the league shuts down for 2 weeks. My guess is Freddie doesn't come back before then, so it'll be after that tournament is over, in which case you got Freddie for the next, all of March, whatever is in April, plus the playoffs, and you're going to go as far as Freddie Andersen will take you. I think they'll spot the goalie. I think they'll give Kochetkov more run during the playoffs this year than they did last year, but Andersen is still their best bet. The real issue is goaltending, but what masked the problem in the beginning of the season was they were outscoring their problems, and they are no longer doing that. They haven't gotten much puck luck. The power play has kind of gone away, and hopefully that'll return with Gostisbehere coming back into the lineup, although it was trending that way anyway. But it's really that guys like Martin Necas just haven't produced enough offense. And they're all culpable. I'm using Necas as kind of an avatar here. I'm not really blaming him because he was so good at the beginning of the year. He gets a lot of the credit for the fact that the Hurricanes were at one point 16-5-1. But he hasn't scored a goal past a goaltender in 18 games. That's a long time for somebody who was as hot as Necas was. So they do need to get him back on the score sheet. I think he is +2 something tonight against Buffalo. He's due to score a goal. So they need their offense to snap back into it. And if that happens, it'll still mask the goaltending issues, but at least it'll mask the goaltending issues. And we'll talk, maybe tomorrow we'll talk a little bit about trade deadline strategy. Tony DeAngelo has left the team in Russia that he was playing for to come home for personal reasons. I don't bring that up to say the Hurricanes should sign Tony DeAngelo because they shouldn't. They shouldn't go back to that. But I like Tony, and I hope
he's a good guy.
Hope things are well with his family. All right, now let's rewind. Chip Patterson joined us like he does every Wednesday. So let's talk about Bill Belichick and UNC, and then we'll see what we have time for. Because we talked about this with Adam Smith yesterday, right, from Inside Carolina. And really for the last 2 weeks, as NFL jobs have opened up, there has been speculation and I wonder, would Bill Belichick go back to the NFL without ever coaching a game at UNC? There's this buyout. It's $10 million, but after June 1st, it becomes $1 million. There's no difference between $10 million and $1 million if an NFL team wants Bill Belichick and Bill Belichick wants that NFL team. The owner will be more than happy to reach into his left pocket and pull out $10 million to get Bill Belichick out of his contract. I just don't think he's going to do that. I asked Chip Patterson if he was at all worried that Belichick might never get to year one.
I don't want to say yes because I'm not outright worried because there's not that much emotion tied up in it.
Right.
I will say that somebody within the industry just pointed out, and I mean, everyone's been using this, but he pointed this out on the day before the press conference.
Sure.
He said, we are talking about a man who resigned from the New York Jets on a napkin.
Right.
I won't believe it until he's on the sideline against TCU.
Okay, well, as somebody who was a Jets fan at the time, it was in Bill Parcells' contract that Belichick must be the next head coach at the Jets. Parcells resigned to orchestrate that, but Bill never wanted it. He didn't want to work for the Jets. So I understand what you're saying and that whole idea. I just don't know how that doesn't become the narrative for an entire, not just a year, but your most recent narrative if you do that now. I think he's going to be the coach at UNC. I don't know for how long, but I think he's the coach at UNC this year.
Yeah, I tend to think I think that he will be the head coach at North Carolina for the 2025 season.
Yeah, I do. And beyond that, who knows? I
Beyond
think it
that,
depends. It depends on how the experiment goes, and I can't wait. Do you agree with this? I think this upcoming season, UNC football will be the number one story in college football, at least for the first 2 months. As long as and if their record is pretty good, it's the entire season that UNC football will have the biggest spotlight on it this year.
2 years ago, there was a story because of the head coach that was the biggest story in college football, and they finished 4-8.
Right.
That was the Colorado Buffaloes.
Yep.
Now they came back the next season and finished tied for first place in the Big 12 standings. But Deion Sanders also brought two first-round picks with him. So, we'll see.
Yeah.
This is going to be. I don't think that they will lose game. I don't think that they will lose some of the games that they had lost as we continue to see the transfer portal wind down, the NFL draft declarations come in, looking at the roster, and I am curious to see how it ends up playing out.
Chip Patterson, who joins us every Wednesday. I just want to go back to the Parcells thing because I think the Parcells thing is fascinating because we've heard that over and over again about Belichick. So Parcells had a 4-year contract to be the head coach of the Jets. He fulfilled 3 of those 4 years. He was also the general manager. Remember the whole, if they want you to cook the dinner, they should let you buy the groceries. That was why he left New England, because they didn't allow him to be the general manager as well. They didn't allow him to pick his own players. But in New York, because the Jets were so bad, they allowed Bill Parcells to pick his own players. And, the Jets were pretty good. The Jets ended up in an AFC championship game in one of the years where Parcells was the coach. They ended up, I think, losing in Denver in an AFC championship game. He's a Hall of Fame coach for a reason. But after 3 years, and the third year was terrible, because Vinny Testaverde was their quarterback at the time, Panthers legend, and he blew out his Achilles in the first game. They had really nobody as a backup. They left themselves really vulnerable there, and without a quarterback, it's hard to win. They did end up going 8-8. He resigned, made Bill Belichick the head coach, and then Belichick resigned on the napkin. Al Groh became the quarterback of the Jets, and then Al Groh left the Jets to go become the head coach at the University of Virginia. The Jets are a mess. That's why you don't want to be a fan of the Jets, ever. Victoria, thank you. Go Canes. See everybody tomorrow.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Tim Donnelly here for DraftKings Sportsbook. Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs?